Last time on the special Galentine's Day episode of The Lore You Know.
We're here today without any men whatsoever in the room, which is the most feminist possible we could ever make this podcast, because that's all that's required to be feminist is to have only women involved.
Oh, Bella's really clumsy because that's like her most defining feature.
Yeah.
Oh, she's so clumsy.
She's so clumsy.
That is her character.
They have somehow flown under the radar despite also being like talk of the town because of how weird they are. And the Native Americans being like, those guys.
Yeah,
like all of the
they're all
teens.
paired up.
They're all like in relationships.
Yes.
And they're just like, isn't that cool and interesting? And like it's kind of like, no, that's really weird. What?
One of them
family?
says like, isn't that illegal? And then the other girl goes like, no, they're just step siblings, so it's fine.
So
and
it's
then
fine.
we're
Yes.
just like over that.
Oh, okay.
All right, I guess
Okay,
that
so
is
it's fine.
So the gaslighting begins pretty early in this
Yeah,
series.
he's just like, you're crazy. You hit your head. I was right next to you when that happened. And also that he ends that conversation with, well, no one's going to believe you.
Yeah, exactly. Again, saying awkward things that he's not supposed to say. It's weirdo.
And Bella's like, this is so interesting. I must get closer.
She's so like,
Such
I am
2007 bullshit.
she like straight becomes like, this is so weird to like, I'm obsessed with this guy.
Yes. Part of the
Yeah, I don't
story.
remember.
I only
that either.
remember because I was like, I've been to the Phoenix airport. I know what she's talking about because I grew up in the Phoenix area.
Right, you have a special connection here.
I was always like, I'm so much like Bella.
so much
I'm
like
from
Bella.
Arizona. I know all about the bathrooms in the Phoenix airport.
And now, the stunning conclusion of Part 2 of Twilight, The Lore You Know.
So, we're going to go into book 2 or movie 2 now, which is New Moon. The rest of these we're going to go through quicker because the consequences of book 1 / movie 1 are what drives the rest of the series. So, book 2, we open with it's Bella's 18th birthday, and she has a stress dream about getting old. Because she's now put in her mind that aging is awful because the Cullens
Classic.
don't age. I really want to not age.
Yeah.
I would like to be a vampire. She has a stress dream
Okay.
that, like, in her dream, she's really, really old and she's still with Edward, who looks exactly the same. And he's like, happy birthday, Bella. And she wakes up and she's like, oh, no, I was old. That can never happen.
Oh goodness gracious!
And so
So
she starts
worse
revealing,
nightmare.
like, that she's
so
still, like,
unhealthy.
yeah. She's so like, Edward, I just want to be young forever and be a vampire.
Because
And-
she's now older than Edward's like body. Or
yeah,
whatever.
technically Edward was 17. And now she's 18 and she's like, I can't be older than you.
Yeah.
she loses it.
Yeah, it's just it's like very kind of
I don't-
out of nowhere that it
Yeah.
starts like
I don't
she's
like
so
this.
intensely like, I
Yeah,
gotta be a
ugh.
vampire.
Yeah,
Mhm.
nope, don't like it.
I
Don't like
mean, like, surely it was spurred
Fine.
by that she could have been turned into
Mhm.
one, but Edward,
And she now has a cool scar.
she got a cool crescent scar.
Yeah.
And so we aren't going to go through the movie like scene by scene on like the last one, but I do have to say this, because it's just wild. It's Bella's birthday. She's at school. They are reading and watching Romeo and Juliet in English class. And Edward and Bella are sitting in the back of English class,
Just chatting.
Chatting. and Edward's like, he's like, I'm so jealous of Romeo. And Bella's like, why?
Why?
Because he gets to be with Juliet.
Juliet's so pretty. Is that why you're jealous of Romeo?
And
Because
he's-
again, her
Oh
self-esteem
my. Yeah.
is.
And he's like, no, because he can commit suicide. And
Oh.
he's like, we can't really as vampires. We can't commit suicide. I wish I was able to commit suicide. And then he looks at Bella and he's like, I would kill myself if anything happened to you.
This is her
And
birthday.
I'm like, it's her birthday.
He says this so casually too, just like, yeah, this is like normal couple things
is
to
just
talk
what
about on your
couples say.
birthday. It's like
Once
such
again,
a
to be
cringe
fair,
word, though.
This sounds like a high school conversation. I just
For me, this has been decades away. So it is going to be like, oh, listening to it. Like,
Yeah.
I've never seen the
Never
movies.
thought about it this
Yeah.
way.
Ugh.
Yeah. So he also establishes a very important world building fact that he's
Will
like,
be relevant in
I-
this movie.
I know exactly what I would do if I wanted to kill myself, by the way.
Bella was like, it's still my birthday, but
It's
okay,
still my
let's
birthday,
talk
but
about
okay.
this.
And he's like, there is this group of elder vampires called the Volturi. They live in Italy. They live in Volterra, Italy.
Okay.
And like they like secretly control the town and everything. They are like the upholders of vampire law. And they like protect the peace of like keeping vampires a secret from humans. They like enforce like if anyone's stepping on a line, like revealing themselves too much to humans, they will step in and like usually kill those vampires.
Mhm.
Well, I feel like the Colons did a bad job at the moment, but that's fine.
Oh, this
Keep
may come
going.
up, friend.
Yeah. They're kind of like the vampire mafia, where they are
Yeah.
like enforcing stuff.
Yeah,
they are
yeah.
getting stuff done, whatever
Everyone's
the cost.
scared of them.
Yeah.
They're
because
doing things a little bit for their own benefit, but also under the guise of like, this is the
for
way we
everybody.
do it.
Yeah.
This is for the good of the group.
Forget about
Yeah.
it.
That's what they sound like too.
Yeah.
So he establishes that he's like, I would kill myself I would go to Italy and like reveal myself with my sparkly skin to humans, and so then the Volturi would be forced to come and kill me.
Oh.
And Bella's like, okay,
Okay, cool. Thanks for telling me this. And then the teacher's like, are you guys paying attention back there?
We're talking about killing ourselves.
Yeah.
And then like they go to a birthday party for Bella that Alice has made, like a huge birthday party, because Alice is always like over the top with anything revolving around Bella. But at the birthday party, because Bella's so clumsy, she gets a cut right away trying to open a present. She
Little
gets a little
paper cut.
paper cut.
Yeah.
And Jasper freaks out because he's not good with blood still. And so he like
Yeah.
immediately like launches himself, and then all the rest of the Cullens have to like
Hold
pull
them
him
back.
back,
Yeah.
and it's a whole scene. Edward like pushes Bella away, but he can't do that very gently, so she like flies into
Flies
like
over-
a
A
dresser.
glass table or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
She gets
some-
really
yeah.
cut
She
up.
gets fucked
It
up a
gets
little
way
bit.
worse after.
So
Is Laurent there?
No. Laurent
Okay.
is not.
Laurent is not here. He left.
Okay.
But
It makes me wonder how Jasper is going to school. Like, are
Yeah,
no
I
kids
also thought
getting
that.
paper cuts in
Yeah.
the class sometimes? Like,
I
what are they
don't
doing?
know.
High risk.
Stays away from the nurse's office. Well, so yeah, it all goes to shit, and Edward is like clearly like so upset when he's bringing Bella home later. He's like way more over the top upset about what has happened that night. And so what ends up happening is that he essentially comes to the conclusion that he's like, Bella, we cannot be together. Like, it's way too dangerous for you to like be involved with vampires. And she was like, no, it's okay, it's fine. No, I want to
But
be
she's
with
also
you.
like, you could just change me, and then
Also,
that
yeah,
would be
yeah, I
it.
could just be
That
with
would
you.
yeah, that's her
solve my
argument there. It's
But
like,
Edward's,
if I
like,
was just a vampire,
super
everything would be
against
fine.
that. Edward's like, I would never make anyone live this life because he hates himself.
Mhm.
You know,
If you couldn't tell.
if you couldn't tell, he hates himself so much. And so he leaves. He's like, all of the Cullens leave Forks, and
Oh.
he's like, and you will never see me ever again, Bella. So
Oh, shit.
He
get over
walks
me.
her out into the woods to tell
Yeah.
her this information, and then she gets lost out there for
She
like 24 hours.
Well, also
or
because she's
something.
like spiraling. She's like so upset over this because she's like latched her entire personality onto him at this point.
Mhm.
Healthy. Very healthy sense of self.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
great. It's
Yeah.
all so healthy and fine. He like also like Edward's like very mean about it. Like,
yeah, he's rude. He's like, I don't want you to
he's
come
like,
with me.
he's like, I don't want you to come with me. I don't actually love you, really.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Aw.
just been kind of like a fun little thing for me.
Classic move.
But then also says,
Classic
promise
move.
me you won't do anything reckless. And he says it super seriously. And then
Yeah.
he pauses for a second. He's like, for Charlie's sake. Oh, good
Yeah.
move there. Good
Yeah,
save.
it's like,
No,
not for
that,
me,
not that
not
I
for me.
care.
Not
Yeah.
that I care.
For Charlie's sake, you know.
Yeah. And so the Cullens just straight up leave, and they are gone for pretty much this entire book movie.
And I believe
Oh.
in the book, he takes all like evidence of him too. He takes all the
Yes.
pictures that they have. He takes everything like from her room.
He
so.
took like things he gave to her.
Yeah.
It's like scorched
Like I'm
earth
pretty
strategy.
sure like all the birthday presents
Mhm.
they had given her, even not from him, like they took them.
everything. Because he was like, it
Wow.
would just be better if you had never met me.
Yeah. And so obviously Bella's so fucked up from that. She
Yeah.
like spirals into very severe depression.
Severe depression.
Yeah.
And one thing that Twilight series has done very well is that at least I think is banger is in the books it just has blank pages that says like October, November, December for like
Oh.
several pages, and there's nothing else besides the name of the month
Mhm.
to show that the
She's
time's
doing
just
nothing.
passing and
Yeah.
she's doing nothing. In the movie, I also really like what they do,
Yeah.
that she like
Just
sits in a
sits
chair and the
then
camera
s-
rotates around her while like the
The
seasons
seasons change,
change
yeah.
and like
Mhm.
time's passing and she's just sitting there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's pretty
she's
awesome.
so sad. Eventually, like we come back to reality and everyone's like, "Gee, Bella, you suck now." That like everyone's like, "You are literally so depressed, it's bothering me."
Charlie's like, I think I'm gonna send you to Florida because you're clearly
Yeah,
not
he's
okay.
like-
and she's like, no, it's fine. It's
Her
fine.
mom now is living in Florida. He's like, "I think you should go live with your mom in Florida because like this is crazy."
This is not working out for you.
And she's like, "No, I have to be here."
So
What
is
if they
she
come
still
back?
in
What if they
high
come back?
school?
Yeah.
She's a senior now.
Yeah, she's just senior.
Okay.
She was a
now.
junior last movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Interesting.
and then like just through I don't even remember how like it starts happening, but she starts meeting up with Jacob a little bit.
It's because she wants to become an adrenaline junkie.
Oh right.
Because when
Oh,
she's
yeah,
in
yeah.
reckless situations, she starts to see hallucinations
Yes.
of Edward saying, "Don't do
So,
that."
yeah, so
And
we
so
find
she
out-
wants to see him so bad.
she
Oh,
she finds
God.
out that like when she's in dangerous situations, she sees Edward, like literally sees him telling her to be like careful and don't do this, and so she's like, I
Mm.
gotta do things that are dangerous so that I see Edward.
Yeah.
Had this
I
vision
really
of him.
wish that mental health and therapy was more accepted back in 2005
Yeah.
right?
than it was.
She needs help because she's
Oh,
having
boy.
like
Yes.
visual hallucinations.
Yeah,
of
no,
him.
that's a
Yeah.
concern.
It starts
That's a
with
big
like
concern.
she was trying to prove to Charlie that she's fine, and so she went out like to see a movie with one of her friends, and then like
She gets
she
catcalled
gets like
by
yeah
a
she
bunch
gets
of
like
dudes.
catcalled by a bunch of biker guys.
Yeah.
Per normal in the city apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in Port Angeles.
In Port Angeles.
That's what's always happening.
But like when that happens, she like sees Edward and he's like, walk away, like keep walking. And so she like goes towards them and like ends up like getting on the motorcycle with one of them and like is seeing Edward like stop doing this. You're crazy. And she ends up being okay from that situation.
Yeah, because she acts crazier than this guy. Where
Yeah.
she's like talking to Edward, and he's just there, and he's like,
what's wrong with you?"
okay.
Yeah,
What
okay.
are you talking
Yeah.
about?
And so that guy was because of the motorcycle ride. She's like, maybe I should get a motorcycle and learn how to ride a motorcycle because it's so dangerous to ride a motorcycle.
Well, when you're as clumsy as
Yeah,
Bella.
when you're as clumsy as Bella.
Oh boy.
And so she like somehow acquires like an old beat up motorcycle, and yeah, she's like, I know someone who could help me fix this up. Jacob Black. And Jacob is like kind of smitten with her too. I mean he's 16 now.
But he's taller now.
He's taller, and she's like always noticing like, geez, Jacob, are you like working out
yeah,
a lot?
he's like
'Cause
becoming a bit of a
Yeah.
beefcake.
Yeah.
And so she hangs out with him like literally every day,
Mhm.
like after school.
Charlie is thrilled.
Yeah, Charlie loves this. Well, because like Charlie's like BFF with his dad, and like a
Yeah.
lot of the.
And he's like,
other
finally,
people-
my daughter leaves our house to do anything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. I mean, like it's great. I mean, like everyone is like, well, she's like she's not as depressed as she was,
Mhm.
which is great.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, she has
Kinda.
a great time with Jacob, and they like, are really
They become
enjoying-
best friends,
they become
basically.
BFF.
Yeah.
And like obviously it's like Jacob is like kind of crushing on her.
And it's like pretty
yeah.
obvious.
It's pretty
like Bella
obvious.
knows,
Bella
but she's
knows,
like,
but brushes it off.
but I want to be his friend. So
Yeah. But like, and then like it escalates to even that like she tries riding the motorcycle they fixed up, and she sees Edward, but then she like breaks and like flies off
she
of it.
crashes like almost immediately.
Yeah.
I'm like, what happened here?
Oh goodness gracious!
And she like, and Jacob like takes off his shirt and he's like ripped, and she's like, what the fuck?
But she's also bleeding, and she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Are you apologizing for bleeding?" Wow,
because
she doesn't have to apologize
yeah,
for
she doesn't
bleeding
have to
around him.
apologize for
Yeah.
bleeding anymore because she's not around vampires.
So
Yeah.
I think I would probably apologize too if I was bleeding, just
Well,
in a normal situation.
I would potentially apologize for
For falling.
falling immediately
Yeah.
on the motorcycle
Yeah.
that
Beefing
you
it
helped
so
me
hard.
build. Yeah. Also, all the while that they're interacting, hanging out, getting really close, we learn a little bit more about the Quileute
Quilio, I think.
reservation and Jacob's family. And now, so before we talk about this side of the story, I have to point out that the Quileute people is a real tribe that Stephanie Meyer took to use for her story, which is quite a ballsy, bold thing to do. Not in a good way.
Mhm. She just like Googled it.
She just Googled it,
Yep.
and she did take some of their actual legends of their tribe and change them to fit in her story.
Ooh.
And
This is
yeah,
actual
so we
cultural
want to take a moment
appropriation.
and point out that this is like genuinely another like big issue with the
This
Twilight
is
series.
probably the worst.
This is
part.
probably one of the worst things. I mean, besides that, everything about their relationship is problematic. This is the worst thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did the movie at least try to make it a fictional tribe, or
No.
did they?
No.
just
No,
go
they.
for it?
I don't
No.
even think they hired native
they didn't.
actors because isn't Taylor Lautner just like
Taylor Lautner, it's apparently they're not sure.
because that's what I've heard is like do they
It's
just
still out.
Taylor Lautner is like maybe Hawaiian or
Yeah.
something.
The other actors who play the characters from the
I know
books,
Billy
they
Black is.
are actually Native American. So they did hire Native American actors to play the Native American characters, potentially not Taylor Lautner.
That was the one that was always most
I
surprising
feel like
to me. I was like,
feel
he's
like
the
it came
most
out
biggest
later.
one.
Yeah, I think it came out later that. Well, I think that it was that like Taylor like lied.
Oh,
Like he
oh,
might
well,
have
that
some.
could have been what
he
happened.
might have some indigenous like ancestry, but like it's not really. I don't know.
Well, the
feel
Wikipedia
like-
article says, in quotes, has stated that he has quote unquote
Yeah.
distant Native
Okay,
American
so that's what.
Distant
Yeah,
ancestry.
so that was just all questionable. I'm pretty sure all of the other actors are. Maybe not all of them, but at least like prominent ones are. However, the Quileute people have never received any sort of compensation.
Yeah.
For this.
Oh,
But people now
Oh.
come to their land,
people now come to their land for tourism.
things, and they're not
Oh,
getting any
no.
benefit.
I mean, it's like so, like they've always tried to. The area they live, the La Push, is like a beautiful area that they did promote. Like people should come and see for tourism's sake. So, but like it did take it to a new level.
Yeah,
The movies and the book.
Mm.
That, yeah, and apparently there's, I mean, like within them, there's a lot of like people that are like whatever. Like, fine, sure. Actually, it got some people interested in our history. That's great. And other people are like, this sucks.
yeah.
Because it also, like, misrepresented our
Yeah.
history
Mhm.
and fictionalized
Yeah.
it in a lot of ways. So,
yeah.
just to set this all up, this is problematic. This sucks. And they
Yes.
deserve compensation, especially for how successful this all was.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we learn about the Quileute through Jacob, and he expresses a couple things. So the Quileutes have a story that their ancestors were descended from wolves, and that is true in real life. That is part of their history. But everything else is made up now.
Okay.
Stephanie Meyer took that. And
just the
just said,
quickest
"Let's go."
Google search.
Yeah.
Didn't
Ran
even
with
click on the article.
Yes.
Just saw like the
ran
first two
with it.
sentences
She ran
probably.
with that. So that's where the real life similarities stop and end. So Jacob also starts talking about how a bunch of the other boys in his age group in the tribe are slowly getting like one by one like initiated into this very weird group led by a guy named Sam that like Jacob calls it like Sam's cult because all they do is like hang out together. They're very like they just want to be together. They're very like protective of each other.
They all cut their hair and then get tattoos.
They all get tattoos that match, and they all cut their hair because they all have had long hair up until they join like Sam's friend posse. And so
this is something I've heard has been pointed out as like a big issue that in the actual tribe it wouldn't be an honor to cut your hair to join
not cut your
to be
hair.
a warrior or whatever. So just fully made up.
This has no relation to anything in real life.
Super great. Super great.
And Jacob's describing this from an outside perspective. That he's like, this is bizarre. I really don't understand it, but Sam looks at me like he's waiting for something.
And like he's slowly losing friends to this cult because they won't hang out.
Like
with
all
him
of
anymore.
Jacob's friends are like slowly one by one joining Sam's little cult.
Okay.
So we get that in the background of Bella and Jacob hanging out because it's good for Jacob too because he's like, all my friends are like not hanging out with me
Disappearing
anymore.
on
me.
So they just have each other.
Also in the background, more hikers are dying.
Yeah,
That kind of happens throughout all of these.
Yeah, people
books,
are
but-
dying again. It's great. It's great. Then also Jacob gets like more and more attached to Bella, and Bella does not handle this situation well overall because she's very just like dismissive, and she's like, she's basically acting like I don't give a shit that this kid likes me that much, and
She's like, I want to be friends with him.
Yeah.
She's
so.
like, I want to be friends with him, so you know what? He has to deal with this.
Yeah,
and I will
she
not
kinda,
return
like
it.
leans into it, but
She
doesn't draw, like, a
manipulates
good-
him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. She's handling it like a teenager. Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
because she's also
That's fair.
18 and he's 16 at this point, which is like, man, just a little.
Yeah. So then it's like leads up to a point where like she's at a movie. She went to a movie with Jacob, but then like she also invited a guy.
She invited everybody, but only Mike showed
She
up.
she invited all her friends, but only Mike showed up. So then it's like her and Jacob and Mike at the movies together. And like I love the clip in the movie that like she's sitting between them and they both have like their hand out next to her, like up, like she could hold their hand at any moment.
And so she's just like curled
She's
up.
just like
by
this.
herself.
Like at this point too, Jacob is starting to be like very like forward with that he wants to be with Bella.
He's like, I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Yeah, he keeps being like, I'll wait until you get over him. Like I have forever. Like I will literally.
Also unhealthy.
Yeah,
I
he's,
know.
he
So
starts like
unhealthy.
he just does this turn where he
all
starts
about
acting
it
so
is
like
unhealthy.
aggressive
Yeah.
about it. Like he's so like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep trying. He says like he says that in the movie.
He's like, I'm never gonna stop.
I'm
Yeah.
never gonna stop. Which
Oh,
is also so bad. And despite Bella being like, I'm not interested, Jacob, he's like, well, I'm not gonna stop. It's just great.
No.
But then she's kind of
Oh,
like,
God.
okay, well,
Okay.
good.
But
Then we can
she's
be
like,
friends.
okay, whatever, because I just want you to be around because it makes
She
me
likes
feel
the
better.
attention.
But like
Alright.
also like she's been giving him like she's been saying things to him like you're so beautiful.
Yeah.
Or they'll like hold hands, and she's
God.
like, "It's fine. We're just friends."
Yeah,
holding hands.
yeah. So she's not
Girl.
helping. She's really she's really
Girl.
not
Yeah,
helping.
she definitely leads
Ah,
him on.
She
Yeah.
well, like she
Gross.
also like talks about that she doesn't want him to leave, even though she doesn't want to be with him romantically. She's like, I don't want to leave, so anything I got to do to keep him wrapped around my
It's
finger.
also unhealthy.
I know.
Bad relationships.
Well, at the movies, Jacob randomly gets really mad at Mike, like to a weird degree, and
Like really aggressive.
then he
Yeah.
feels, and he's like, I feel really bad, and like, Bella's like, you're burning up. Like she touches him, and he's like,
Rage. Yeah.
very, very warm, and he like runs off and
Just ghosts.
disappears and starts ghosting
Okay.
Bella, which is obviously very upsetting, because well, what happened with
Mhm.
Edward, but she does get to talk to Billy.
Who says Jacob has mono?
Yeah, he's like, Jacob has mono. He's really sick, so you cannot come see him. Like, do not come here, Bella. But like she does, because she's like, no, I have to be with Jacob right now. Not romantic.
Unhealthy attachments. So many places.
she
She
It's
just
terrible.
switched it from Edward
Yeah,
to
I mean,
Jacob.
literally.
She can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
She-
just unhealthy attachments.
She shows up, and Jacob has cut his hair and has gotten the tattoo, and she's like, oh no, he joined Sam's cult.
And he's super beefy.
He's also like way beefier than before somehow.
And he walks around in
Get on
cut
Taylor
off
Lautner.
shorts
He
no
walks
matter
around-
the
Yeah,
temperature.
I know.
He walks around shirtless and in cutoff shorts. And she like sees him the
Okay.
first time in the movie. He's like walking through the rain this way.
She's like, you're supposed to be sick. Why are you walking?
And
in
he's
the
like
rain?"
he's really rude to her. He's like, go away. It's like, go away, Bella.
Yeah, he basically like tries to friend break up with
But
her.
yeah, he tells her to fuck off. Like,
Yeah.
which is not good for
Ah.
Bella in her state.
But he does a similar thing that Edward does, where it's like, it's for your sake. Like,
Like-
for your sake, we can't be friends. It's better
Yeah.
this way.
Yeah.
Barf.
so
Let
she did
women
not
make
like
choices.
to hear that
Come on.
again. And so Bella had like earlier seen that some of the guys from Sam's group will like do some cliff jumping in the area
Mm.
because as like very dangerous but like thrill seeker type
Yeah.
activity because
Okay.
they're big cliffs.
They're scary.
They're scary.
Yeah.
Cliff jumping into the water. And she's like, I feel really sad right now, and also I would love to see Edward, so I'm gonna go do something dangerous. I'm gonna go cliff diving.
Once again, trying to purposely trigger visual and auditory hallucinations. Not good.
I will
Still
say
not good.
one thing that happened before then is that Laurent shows back up
Oh, right.
and tries to kill
Right.
Bella because he's like,
What?
he's
Yeah.
like, Victoria's coming to kill you. She is going to torture you and make it really slow. I'll eat you
'Cause she's
and you
upset.
won't even feel it. It'll be so fast. So I'm really doing you a benefit. And then these
Yeah.
giant wolves jump out and
Oh, right.
kill Laurent in front
Oh.
of Bella. So
Yeah, which
Oh,
is
shit.
Bella's like,
So
oh
Laurent's
god, there
dead.
are giant
Yeah.
creatures.
So all she was like, the people who thought that there were animals killing all these hikers were right. They're these giant
Those are wolves.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so Laurent's dead.
yes.
Yes.
So Laurent is like killed. So like
So he was trying not
Like
to
they
drink human
decapitated
blood,
him properly.
but he
yeah.
got
So that was when he revealed he was like, I've been kind of trying to be vegetarian, but also like I want to do like a mercy kill on you.
Yeah.
Because
He's-
because
okay.
she told him, she was like, the Cullens left, and he's like, oh, so
Well,
no
he-
one's protecting you.
She tries
Yeah.
to lie through it because Edward, the hallucination, is like,
Yeah.
I lied
Yeah.
better than that. But it's very obvious that she is lying.
So all of that happened, and then Bella is like gonna go cliff diving because she just loves seeing Edward in her visions, and she jumps off the cliff. The waves are like, the current is too strong, and so she's like essentially immediately drowning.
Yes.
Un-
Because she did
Until-
it in a storm for some
yeah,
reason.
also yeah, it was like stormy. So she jumps off the cliff and almost doesn't make it out, but Jacob pulls her out of the water and saves her.
Oh.
And he's like, "What the fuck?
Why are you doing
More
this?
choices.
Bad choices." But so Bella finds out that Jacob is a werewolf, and Sam doesn't really actually have like a cult. It's the werewolf pact. It's slowly all of the young people in the tribe have been turning for the first
Mhm.
time into werewolves, and they have like a pact together. And
Okay.
Sammy, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in the books they talk about how like they only like get the wolf shifting ability when there's like threat of vampires.
When vampires are nearby. So that's
Yeah.
why, like,
Hmm.
in Jacob's grandfather's era, there were werewolves because the Cullens were there. Then they left, so they had a
So
generation.
there's like a
with no
generation that
werewolves.
there's no.
But then when the Cullens
Interesting.
came back,
there's werewolves
they
Start
came
again.
back.
again.
So that's why all of them are like turning right now.
But it's interesting because more of them
But
are
the
still
Cullens aren't there right now.
yeah, but more of them are still turning, even though the Cullens are not.
Yes.
Because
So
there are
Victoria.
there's Victoria running around. As we find out that Victoria is also like running
trying
around
to get Bella.
trying to get Bella, but like just kind of like I don't even know what she's doing when Bella's
Yeah.
like unprotected.
Yeah.
She's just kind of like around killing
Like, it
random
can't be
people.
that difficult.
Yeah, I know.
Truly.
And
It's
she's
kind of silly
clumsy.
on her part. Yeah,
And
it's
she's
just-
She also
clumsy,
was
so
sitting in the same place for months
Yeah.
yeah.
in her
I
house.
think in the books they say that Victoria's like special ability is that she can sense danger, so she's like really
Oh.
danger adverse because she can always tell,
Ah.
which I think is like supposed to be part of the reason why she takes this like very weird
Route to get
prolonged
to
route
Bella,
of doing
sure.
this.
Well, so Bella gets initiated into like, so all the young guys are werewolves, and that's why like we were acting weird. No one's supposed to know unless like they're bound by secrecy. So Jacob like couldn't tell her until like she just saw him transform into a wolf. Like you can find out on your own, but they're
Yeah.
not supposed to just tell people.
And he was trying to get her to like guess it, but she was not
he like
figuring it out.
wanted her to know.
Yeah.
He wanted her to know.
You know, to be fair, she does have a track record of caring about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like
Too
she
busy
so
trying
she
to
gets
trigger
like acquainted with
hallucinations.
all of them. She also finds out that so like Sam is engaged to Emily. And because like they all go to their house at one point and hang out, and Emily has like part of her face is like extremely scarred. As we find out from Sam when he first transformed into a werewolf, he accidentally really fucked up her face, but they're like together because as we find out, werewolves have a thing called imprinting, where they imprint on a person who then that is the person that they are just in love with forever.
That's their whole
That's
life.
their whole life.
They'll be whatever that person
Yeah.
needs them to be.
That's their Z.
Mhm.
Yeah. So he imprinted on Emily, even though he like
Yeah.
brutally attacked her.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. They're always like, if we lose control of our emotions, we'll just turn and we could
Yeah.
hurt anybody around us.
Yeah, like Bella
That
like
seems
pushes one
terrible.
of them because she's mad at him, and he transforms into a wolf immediately. 'Cause
Yeah.
he's
This
like,
just seems like a metaphor for abusive relationships.
Yes.
But that's
I mean,
just me.
you know, this is also so again just for the Quileute people. This is like it's so racist to have like the Native American people transform into wild
Oh
animals.
God.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Out of
Uh,
rage issues.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
with
it's
like
even
rage
worse.
issues.
Yeah.
Oh
It's no
God,
good.
no.
Yeah.
This also just screams. This is where the Mormon comes in. People are
Oh,
engaged
yeah.
at like what 18, 17?
Yeah,
Is it
Stephanie
however old
Meyer.
These people are.
Stephanie Meyer is Mormon, and this comes through in the way she writes things. Yes,
All of
Oh
the
my
relationships
good
are eternal.
gracious.
all of the relationships.
The imprinting is
Ah.
The imprinting is very important because you know.
I've seen this clip.
Well, hold on, no, not yet. Jacob is like he's totally in love with Bella, but he's like, I haven't imprinted on you, but I want to, like so badly. Like he's like, I'm like trying to,
Can you
like I want it to
choose?
happen.
well, he wants to imprint on anybody at this point because if he imprinted on somebody else, he could forget about Bella. Like she
Yeah,
would
also
become
that.
basically insignificant.
like
Yeah.
he's
Can you-
like, it's very hard to be into
in-
Bella.
In one of the books, there's a part from Jacob's perspective, and he goes to a mall just like looking at people because he's hoping he'll
Yeah,
just
he
imprint
wants
on
to
one of the
imprint on
women
somebody.
who is at the
Because
mall.
it literally happens in an instant.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
just
it
like
is.
look at each
Okay.
other after you become a werewolf for the first time, and you know.
Yeah,
So it's like a fate thing.
yeah.
Yes. And then the
The
tribes
other person
most...
feels nothing, by the
Yeah.
way, that you imprint
Yeah.
on. Hopefully they like
Right.
you.
yeah, hopefully. But then the tribe has their one most absolute law, which is that you can never hurt the imprintee of anybody who the werewolves have imprinted on. That's like
You can't
the
hurt
one.
somebody else's
Yes.
Yes.
person that they
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, so
Not
also
problematic.
at this point too, Jacob shows so much animosity towards Edward for number one, what he
Mhm.
did to Bella,
Yeah.
and number two, that he's like, well, so the Cullens are like our like number one enemies. I mean, vampires in general,
Yeah.
because the treaty that I mentioned in the first movie is that we have a treaty with the Cullens specifically that
Mhm.
they cannot hunt in our entire area. So not just the reservation, but in Forks.
Mhm.
They cannot
That makes sense.
If
They
they
cannot kill
kill
people.
anybody, we will expose them as vampires.
Okay.
So they
Hence
have
the
that treaty set up, and also the
thing.
Cullens cannot come on the reservation
Yeah.
at all.
Fair.
And so that was established a long time ago.
Now there's these other vampire running around.
But yeah, so that's what. So they are chasing around Victoria, keeping her out. And like and they killed Laurent. So that's what has been happening to that. Like one reason why Victoria hasn't been able to show up.
Okay.
And they've been like patrolling, running around, and there's like also this montage where like Charlie is out in the woods like hunting for the wild animals that are killing people.
Yeah.
And like they have Harry Clearwater, who is the he's the father to two of the werewolves, and he's friends with Charlie. He's like out there helping Charlie like track, and he's like covering up tracks of like of big werewolf footprints and stuff.
Yeah.
Harry gets killed though, unfortunately. And like that's a big plot point.
Yeah.
That he's killed by Victoria. And they all think it was a heart attack then in the woods. And that is what causes his two kids to like transform into werewolves. Leah and Seth, who will be important players in the werewolf pack.
Okay.
There's like
so it is boys and girls.
There's
Well,
one
Leah's
girl.
the only girl,
Leah's
and
the
they
only
are
girl.
all
Okay.
surprised by this.
they were all surprised. Yeah.
They did not think it was possible.
And it's kind of awkward in
Okay.
the werewolf pack because they're like, well, I think it sucks for her because like they rip off their clothes every time, and then when they untransform, they're all naked.
And also an important thing is when they're in their wolf form, they have like a hive mind, so they can
Yes.
all read
they can
each other's
hear
thoughts.
each other's thoughts.
Okay.
And-
So they're all annoyed because Jacob is always like moaning and bitching about
Bella.
Bella.
Also, and Leah is like none of them like Leah because she's like very like mean.
she
weirdly-
was dating Sam
Yes.
before he imprinted on Emily, and then he imprinted and
Mhm.
was like, sorry, I still love you, but I feel so much stronger for Emily. And now she has to hear his thoughts about how much he loves
Yeah.
Emily.
So that's a
God.
bummer. And
Poor
also her
Leah.
dad just died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got a
she's
rough
had a rough
time.
time
Yeah.
going
Yeah.
on. And she has to listen to Jacob bitch.
Yeah. I mean, like, so
But then all the
she's
boys
mean.
are like, but Leah is also angsty and sad. It's like,
Yeah.
get over it.
Get over it, all of you.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is important to know. Sam is kind of like the pack leader, but and it relates to like also like their ancestors
Mhm.
because Sam's like great grandfather or grandfather was a tribal leader, but so was Jacob's. So Jacob is like they don't talk about this in the movie, but Jacob is like technically an alpha male.
And he
werewolf.
turned it down. He was like, I don't want to be the
Yeah, he
alpha.
doesn't want to be
You
the
should
alpha,
be the alpha,
so he's
Sam.
letting Sam lead the pack.
But
when
he had
technically,
first dibs.
yeah, technically,
But he could take over.
yeah, like Sam,
if he wanted.
Sam's ancestry, he like had like they were tribal leaders, but like Jacob's was more in front. Well, so because of Bella jumping off of the cliff, she comes home, and Alice is randomly there. And Alice is
hello.
like shocked to see Bella. And Alice explains that she had a vision of Bella jumping off the cliff and
Yeah.
never saw her come up.
Yeah, and
So-
just dying.
Alice assumed that Bella committed suicide. And
Bella had to be like,
Fair.
no, it was
She jumped off a cliff.
recreational.
and so because Alice cannot see in her visions, she cannot see half breeds or the
Oh, she can't
werewolves.
see
So she
the
did
dead.
not see Jacob pull her out of the water.
Yeah.
Got it.
So she came home to comfort Charlie, which is really sweet.
yeah.
She came home to comfort Charlie because she thought Bella was dead, and so did the rest of the Cullens. Jacob's is there as well, and like being
They're so mad at each other.
Buffy,
But-
stay out of here.
She wants to be part of Galentine's.
She does. She's
He is
leaving.
a part of Galentine.
So Bella is like at home with Alice and Jacob, and they also established that werewolves smell really bad to the vampires.
They both smell
Yeah.
bad to each
They
other.
both smell
Like,
bad to
oh,
each
you
other."
stink
Yeah.
like
Makes
wet
sense.
dog.
Which
Yeah.
is very funny.
Yeah.
But then they get a phone call, and Jacob answers. Like just,
For some reason.
for some reason, he just answers the phone at Bella's house,
This part is so funny.
and
to me.
he's like,
somebody asks.
someone says something on the other side of the phone, and he's like, Charlie can't come to the phone. He's he's preparing a funeral for Harry Clearwater, who has just been killed by Victoria.
But Jacob
However,
doesn't mention that.
He doesn't mention any names.
Yeah.
On the other end was Edward, who had been calling, and he thinks it's Bella's funeral.
Yeah, Bella's dead. Yeah.
Yep. And so we
Cue the conversation we
Cue-
had at the beginning
cue the
about
conversation.
suicide.
Edward is gonna go to Italy to kill himself, get himself killed by the
Alright.
Volturi. So I'm just gonna kind of skip through this, but there's like a whole like Alice is like, I will help you get to Italy. We'll go there together. We'll go to Volterra, where the Volturi are, and we'll try to save Edward. So they do that. They run to Italy. They take a plane and stuff, but like they get there somehow,
Real
like at the
fast.
same time. It's when
Well, Edward spent some
From
time trying to convince the
Washington.
Volturi just to kill him.
right.
And they were like, no, your power's too good. And then Edward's
Yes.
like, fine, I'll have
So-
to expose myself. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, we can't kill you unless you do something bad.
Yeah, so we
Yeah.
meet the Volturi. We get a little introduction to them. They are like these really weird. They're very weird. I think the actors do a good job of playing
I like
they're
the
just
movie
bizarre.
version more than the book version,
Yeah,
actually.
They're a little creepy. They've lived forever, and
They're really
they control
old.
everything.
They're really old.
They're way older than
They're
Carlisle.
very powerful. They have like a ton of people that protect them because they themselves, I
Right.
think, are like they're really not powerful. It's just they have powerful.
They have
positions.
interesting abilities, but not anything that would be particularly
Yeah.
useful for
But they've
fighting.
surrounded themselves by people with really crazy good
Mm.
abilities.
Social power.
And Arrow is like the leader of them, and he's like obsessed with collecting other vampires with abilities to
So
like
he
add
really
to
wants
his
Edward.
coven. This is not in the movies, but in the books, one of their wives is like good at like convincing people to have loyalty.
Yeah.
That's her
Oh,
like
yeah,
power.
yeah.
That's convenient.
So they have her. So she is not in the movie at all. But like, so that's supposedly how they're getting everybody to be like
Stick
so
around.
loyal to Arrow and Marcus and Caius.
Well,
I
even
think.
Marcus doesn't want to be there. He
Yeah.
wants to leave, but this power has kept him there.
Yeah. So, so we kind of get a little introduction to them, but like, so Arrow's like really into like collecting people with cool powers. But so that's why he doesn't want to kill Edward because he thinks his mind reading ability is pretty neat.
Just too cool.
But
Yeah.
he will if he
Yeah.
has to.
But he will if he has to, if he breaks rules. So Edward's like, okay, and he
Gotta
goes
go break some rules.
starts taking off his shirt so he can sparkle on in front of all the people.
There's like a
touring.
festival
There's like a
happening.
festival happening. That's literally like about vampires.
Yeah.
It's like there's a festival that's like people celebrating it, the town driving out the vampires, which they
Which is
you know,
very funny.
they did it
Because it's like the center hub.
the
of
town is
all
literally run
vampires.
by a group of vampires underground. But he like steps out in the sunlight and it times up perfectly that like Bella like runs up to him and like grabs him and is like, no,
Put your
don't
shirt
do
back
it."
on.
And Edward, important distinction. Edward thinks that he has died and that
Hallucinating?
he's with Bella.
And he was like, I
heaven?
did get to go to
He's like,
heaven.
wow, I did get to go to heaven.
Because he thinks he has no soul now. That's why he doesn't want to
Oh.
turn her.
But like Bella's like, no, this is like real. You're
Like,
alive.
get out of
Like,
the
get out.
sun.
And he's like, he's very like, oh wait, you're alive? What? Before they can like have too much like, oh my god, I missed you and I love you and I was gonna kill myself for you. The Volturi show up and they're like, come talk to us about this. And they have
Let's chat.
a little meeting with the Volturi, and it's very like tense and scary because the Volturi are so
They're
like
scary.
they're scary.
They have a person who can just make you feel pain with her brain.
Yes, they have
Yes.
Jane, played
Oh,
by
that's fun.
Dakota Fanning in the
Yes.
movie. Jane is like they're the most worrisome to all the other vampires because she just looks at you and says pain, and you
Pain.
just feel like crippling pain, like you can't move.
That's fun.
I like the pain is her saying pain out loud is optional because she does it
Right.
sometimes without saying it, but she frequently does say pain. And I
Yeah.
like that she's decided that that's
It's
her
probably
move.
just for a visual cue for the movie or like audio cue, but like yeah, she just has to look at you and decide that you should be in pain. And so like she
That
does
seems
a
nice.
little bit to Edward to like really scare them and stuff, and they're all intimidated, and Arrow's like, well, you know, since you didn't actually alert anyone to you being a vampire, it's like fine. However,
Except for
this
this
human
one.
girl, you know, knows
What's
everything.
this situation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she either has to die or become a vampire. And
she's like, yes.
Well, Bella's just scared out of her mind.
yeah,
right now.
Bella's
she's
just
just scared.
scared.
Okay, at
Bella's
this
just scared.
All right.
But they basically convince Arrow that they're like, well, no, she's going to become a vampire. She will.
Alice has a vision.
Alice has a vision and shares it with Arrow.
Don't you worry. Yeah.
Arrow. So
happening.
Arrow, his special ability is that if he touches you, he can read every thought you've ever had ever.
Oh God.
So it's not like a in the moment, like Edward can just look at people and read minds. This Arrow has to like hold you, touch your hand or whatever, and he will just read everything you have ever thought up until that point.
Okay.
So yeah, so he gets like the vision from Alice, and he's like, oh, okay. And
it seems like he's kind of interested because he knows that Bella is sort of like invisible or can't be affected by some powers.
Yes.
Like he touches Bella's arm and
feels
he
nothing.
can't read her.
Read anything.
Jane can't do the pain thing to Bella. And so I think he is personally like,
intrigued.
oh, I want her to become a vampire so that.
because I want to see what happens with
I
this.
just have this.
Yeah, like Edward can't read her mind. Jane can't do the pain thing, and he can't read her mind. But then like she does show up in Alice's visions, so
There's,
it's
like,
kind of like random.
Stephanie Meyer has come up with a reason for this, which is that
Okay.
she is affected by physical traits, but special abilities, but not mental special abilities. And so the idea is
Okay.
that Alice is not
Okay.
handling anybody's brain or minds.
Okay.
She's just seeing the future, so she can see that. And then Jasper can control emotions because those are just hormones in your body.
All right, sure.
It is
Whatever.
very, very sketchy, but that is
Yeah,
the
whatever.
argument she gives,
It
is
really
that the
was
things that are
pick and choose,
mental.
though.
Yeah.
It really was pick and
Oh my
choose.
But
God.
Stephanie tried her darndest to
Yeah,
give us a
to
reason
get
for
her,
that.
dig herself out
Good
of that
for
hole.
her. Good for her.
But at least Arrow is like sated by this in the least, and so he's like, all right, leave. But he's like, we'll be watching. Is basically how they leave it, which is very scary for everybody because he's like, we're gonna keep an eye on you guys because mostly we're intrigued by this, but also we're gonna make sure it
Yeah.
plays out the way
Like,
that you've described.
Next
Yeah,
time we
yeah.
see you, she better be a
She
vampire.
better be a vampire. And so they come back home, and the Cullens are like, we're gonna stick in forks again. Whatever.
Charlie's so mad.
Charlie's so mad.
Like a second time that something terrible, my daughter has run off, something terrible happens. She comes back and they're like, no, we're back together
Yeah.
and we're happy now, Dad.
Jacob is really pissed that they're back in town because he
Yeah.
wants to be with Bella, and she's obviously like, well, Edward's back. I don't need you anymore. But also Jacob, which sets up the difficulties going from here, as Jacob reminds Edward, he's like, if you guys bite anyone, we have full like reason
Authority.
to kill you guys or
Yeah.
expose
The
you
treaty is
guys.
broken
The
if
treaty's
you bite
broken
anyone.
if you bite anybody, which counts. Bella counts. And so
So Bella's pissed about that. now.
Bella's pissed.
Damn
I
it.
think Edward is always like trying to be like, Jacob, we're kind of on the same side
Yeah.
here. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't actually want this as Bella's thing.
Yeah. But it does end, the book/movie does end with Edward being like, Bella, I'll turn you into a vampire if you marry me. And Bella's like,
Oh my
what?
God.
She just like, and then the movie
And
goes.
the movie ends. Yeah.
Oh my God. Once again, the Mormon lens.
Really
is
good.
here.
Yeah. So that's book 2. So funny how nothing happened with Victoria, even though that was like,
Like
all
a
set
part
up.
of it.
Yeah.
That was like set up that
Was
it's
that
like,
not
oh,
an impetus?
Victoria's after you, and then like nothing happens with that again in
Yet.
that book. It will come back now into book/movie 3, Eclipse. But we've started with the setup of like, Bella's gotta become a vampire, but she can't because the werewolves will then be really mad.
Mhm.
But also, she's gotta marry Edward if he'll do it.
But she doesn't agree to marry Edward initially.
Yeah, she's
She's
like,
like,
no.
she's like,
Gross.
people will think that I'm knocked up because I'm only 18, or like,
True.
marriage, 3/4 of marriages end in divorce and all sorts of stuff. And Edward's like, you're ready to be with me forever as a vampire, but you won't marry me. And I'm like, that's a really good point. Like,
Yeah,
why are
that's
you?
fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
So in Eclipse, first we start with like the setting up that Victoria is turning a bunch of people into vampires.
In Seattle.
in Seattle, so close
Okay.
by in Washington. So she's turning a bunch of people into vampires, and
Okay.
newborn vampires are like they are way stronger and like faster than like older vampires, just because like they're new, they're fresh, and they like still have
Bloodthirst, yeah.
human blood, and
like
it's
their
still
body is
leaving.
digesting it or whatever.
Yeah, like their
Okay.
human blood is being digested, like
Yeah.
something. So, and they're like in way less control of like everything
they're
about
so
themselves.
thirsty for blood.
So
Yeah.
they're very dangerous, and so Victoria is like setting up like a newborn vampire army in order to go back to Forks and be able to fight off the werewolves that she knows are there, and also get to Bella to kill her.
But importantly,
Okay.
she knows about Alice's special power to see the future somehow. So she's set up this kid named Riley to kind of lead this all so that she's more
Yeah.
distant from it because
Yes.
she knows that
Okay.
Alice is watching her, but Alice
Yeah.
doesn't know anything about Riley.
Okay.
So that's all getting set up. We're gonna go through Eclipse really quick because this actually like
There's like nothing.
not much happens in this book. Like weirdly, not much happens. I feel like that's one of the longest books, but like it's actually like
It's
feels
just
like
a lot
nothing
of you get a
happens.
lot of the like background that we've already talked about too,
Sure.
like some of the characters. We
I
learn
was
more
gonna
about
say
like Jasper.
we learn more. So because of this newborn vampire army, we learn more about Jasper. Jasper was he fought in the Civil War as a human. Guess which side, Fran?
Southern
He was a Confederate.
Confederates. Yeah.
Jasper
Yeah.
was a
His name's
Confederate soldier
Jasper.
when
Hate to.
he became
stereotype
a vampire, and he was turned by a lady. Do you remember her name?
Well, let me see if I wrote it down.
He's turned by a lady. She really doesn't-
Maria.
That she was making a bunch of newborns vampires, and she was manipulating Jasper into like being like, I love you, you should do anything for me. And so he was like super in love with her, but it was all like fake. He didn't know,
Yeah.
you know, but he was like, he did a bunch of like terrible things. He was fighting a lot of other vampires.
He was in charge of killing all the newborns once they got old enough that they weren't this like powerful.
they weren't so powerful
so
anymore.
that so like after
Yeah.
a year, Maria would be like, "You have to kill them. We don't need them
Oh
anymore."
God.
Which is
So-
why he's
okay.
covered in scars.
Yeah, so he's covered in
Got it.
scars. And that all so that all happened to him, and eventually he got away from her after he found out like she was not actually in love with him,
Yeah.
and he felt really awful. But then Alice found him because she had a premonition that they would be in love.
Yeah, so
And
she shows up and is
So
like,
she shows up in her
"You're-
life.
You're gonna fall in love with
You're
me."
fine.
And he's
my
like,
friend now.
"Okay."
Yeah.
And that is like kind of like lead into that all of the vampire couples and vampires in general, they also like mate for life. Basically, they have like,
Once you fall in love,
yeah, it's kind of like, it's like just described as like they just have like such strong bonds with like just the one person that they end up making it
Mhm.
work with, that like it's so unbreakably strong, they'll do anything for each other.
because vampires are frequently described as being like just totally frozen. So it's like you can't change your mind, you can't grow or anything
Right.
like that.
Okay.
You don't ever emotionally mature or anything like that. So Edward is like an angsty 17-year-old forever.
Yeah, this seems correct then.
But yeah, so this is also part of why like this is setting up like, well, Edward and Bella are
Problem-solving
like,
skills are terrible.
what?
Sorry, the problem-solving skills are terrible.
Yeah. But like after kind of Bella like finds all this out, she actually gets more into like, okay, yeah, I just should marry Edward. Like makes
Yeah.
sense. He gives her the ugliest ring. in
The
movie.
ugliest ring
I
I've
hate
ever
it
seen
so
in my
much.
life.
It's so bad.
I remember that.
This
one.
was a side note. It's like this giant oval. It's like
Yeah.
this. It's like this
It's like
big,
Yeah.
1,000
and it has like a
tiny
ton
diamonds.
of tiny diamonds on it. It looks so bad.
It's so big. It's like the size of her finger.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look
but
it up.
yeah, if you look it up, Sally, it's very ugly. But yeah, so she like realizes like just like how powerful that relationship is. If she's gonna be with him forever, then yeah, she should marry him. Like whatever.
But she has her own
that is a
condition for
terrible ring.
marriage.
But yes, she has her own condition for marriage. Yeah, there's her ring.
That looks hideous.
It's not good.
You can buy it off AliExpress
Thank God.
for like $14. Yeah, so this is actually a pretty cheap ring.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
it's a cheap
Edward.
ring and it's not beautiful either.
Well, I think it's like one of those types of
No.
rings. I can't remember the name for them, but it actually was like a type of ring that was popular a long time ago. Like more of like when Edward was young in the 1920s. That
Yeah,
because
well,
people
it
didn't
has
have a
all the
lot of money,
pave
and it was
sense.
actually like it would be like you would get a really small diamond and break it into smaller pieces and spread it over a
Oh.
ring.
Spread it
was
out.
actually like a
Yeah.
really cheap alternative.
oh.
Because it's a lot of small pieces as
Yes.
opposed to one big piece.
Yeah,
it's
so it looks
cheaper
like a lot,
to
but it
do.
actually
They still sell
isn't.
these.
It's like
hideous though.
yeah, but it's not good looking. But anyway, that I
Not
thought
pretty.
that's so funny too because like they're so rich.
Yeah. Yeah, they have all the money.
So
He could have gone on Pinterest. Pinterest existed at this point.
sure.
Like he could have.
I don't know
like,
how
looked at
I
Alice
feel like
let
the
this
ring
happen.
was a part of their family though. I
Yeah.
don't remember that, but I feel like it would like belong to somebody else.
Fine.
But
Fine.
anyway,
Still
it's
a
an ugly
terrible
ring.
ring.
It doesn't really matter.
But Bella only agrees to marry him on the condition that they have sex before she
Oh,
is turned to a
Before
vampire.
she started,
She wants to have human sex
She wants
experience.
to have, yeah, she wants to have her 18-year-old
But
virginity taken.
But then Edward is like, but I have to be married before we can have sex.
Yeah.
So
Edward's
they
like,
come
I
to
will
a
not have
compromise.
sex with you. Premarital? No way.
no way, Jose.
Oh my god.
It's when we learn Bella and Edward are still virgins. Bella
Yes.
admits to her dad that she's a virgin in a very funny scene. I love it.
Yeah, she's like,
It's very
she's
strange.
like, Edward's not like that. He's old fashioned.
He's old fashioned.
Because like Charlie's like, are
Yeah.
you being safe?
Like, are you being using protection?
Because you
She's
guys
like, "Please
clearly
stop."
have something going on that's very weird.
So okay, then we're gonna get into this. I'm sorry, we're at the explicit part now. So he's made of stone
Yeah.
Mhm,
or crystalline.
Yep.
mhm.
Yeah.
This can't be comfortable.
Yeah.
For any party involved, I
Well,
presume.
I was gonna say,
We'll
Fran,
get to
we have
that
to
in the
skip it for
next.
now because they don't have sex in this book. They have sex in the next.
They just
book.
Okay,
plan to
fine.
have sex.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll
in
get
this
there.
book.
Okay, as long
It
as
is
we
fine.
address
The
this
discussion
situation.
happens.
Edward is very scared though because he thinks he's gonna kill her.
Yeah, he
That's
does
why
think
he's
he's
like
gonna
really
kill her.
skeptical
Yeah.
of this.
It's like,
but he decides to try
Yeah. So.
because he's just too overwhelmed by the horny. Can't stop himself.
Really, what
They
happens
save
in
us
this
for the fourth book.
really what happens in this book is just that there's conflict between Jacob and Edward. They're always fighting over Bella. That's like all this book is, and like in the background they're like preparing for Victoria to come.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
one of the really funny moments where they like Alice sees a premonition of Riley showing up and they're
Yeah.
like, who's coming to attack us? Like, why would somebody build a newborn army and nobody can figure it out? And then Bella's like, what if it's Victoria, the person who's been trying to kill me this entire time? And everyone's like, oh my God, I would
Oh
have
my
never
God.
thought of that. That's
And once
amazing.
again.
And it's like, you all are very dumb if Bella is the one
I
who's like
know.
coming up with these ground
The
shattering
idea of them
ideas.
being frozen in time
Yeah.
in terms of mental aptitude makes a lot of sense. I can accept this.
Yeah. Well, like there's just a lot of back and forth because you know Jacob's like, I want her to be in love with me and not you, and I want to kill you, and if you do anything to her, you bite her, you know, like I will kill you. And but the werewolves do end up making like a little bit of peace with the vampires, the Cullens, because they know this army's coming, and they're like, okay, fine,
We gotta work
We'll work together to
We'll fight
fight
them,
them off.
first.
They have a fun little training montage.
Yes. Should be
Those
mentioned.
those are fun. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Should be mentioned. The werewolves are as strong as the vampires, except their teeth and claws can rip through vampire skin, so they can kill them.
Okay.
And they are faster than vampires. They can run faster
Oh.
than them, so they can chase them and catch them.
Interesting.
But they also like werewolves as people and as in their wolf form, they can regenerate. So if they get hurt really badly, they'll heal like really quickly.
Cool.
Yeah, so they're set.
I feel
to
like
fight.
she took a little bit from
Yeah,
Wolverine.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
Oh,
they're
and
set to
wolves.
fight
They
vampires.
have magic powers, not just being wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so they decide to work together. They decide to also put like Bella like on top of a mountain to protect her in like a camp, and like Edward and Jacob take turns like guarding her.
Because the newborns have been trained on Bella's smell, so they're looking for her specifically.
Yeah.
Got it.
So
putting her on the
so
top of a
much
mountain.
tension. This was not in the movie, but I remember in the book, it's like so cold on top of the mountain, and Belle's like freezing.
Oh, this is in the movie. They have this in the
was?
tent scene.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And so like Jacob has to come in and like hold her
Hold
because
it,
he's
yeah.
so warm.
Yeah.
And Edward just sitting there
Edward just
watching.
doesn't
Yeah.
sit there watching.
Yeah,
It's
it's so,
so
weird.
funny.
It's really weird though.
It's
Because
so
Edward is
weird.
like, can you
Edward-
try to control your thoughts, please?
yeah.
And it's
Yeah,
like,
yes.
okay.
Oh yes, it's
Okay,
like
well, was this in the movie that I remember at least in the book that Jacob was also like, it's better to get naked when you're cold.
Yeah, he does say that in the movie.
Okay,
He's like,
okay.
this would
Yes.
work. This
He
would
does
work
that
better
in
if
the-
we
yeah.
took our clothes off. And Edward is like,
Shut up.
pissed.
Shut up.
This is like peak love triangle.
Yes.
yeah.
Because
Oh,
Bella
yeah.
also has like
That's
kind
what
of
this book
come
was.
to terms of like, I am in love with Jacob,
Yes.
but my feelings for Edward are just so much
Stronger.
stronger that it
Yeah,
couldn't
she
compare.
confesses that she's like, I do love you, Jake, which doesn't help.
Yeah, we
That
just-
doesn't help the
Doesn't help.
situation.
Does
child.
not
No, it
help
does
at
not.
all.
Oh my god.
Because
Um,
after this thing where Jacob pisses off Edward by cuddling and being weird, Edward mentions the marriage in front of Jacob, which Bella was trying not to tell him. So then
Jacob
Jacob
gets
gets
really
all
mad.
pissy, and so then Bella is like, "Please kiss me, Jake. Please kiss me. I love you," or whatever. And so then they kiss. That's like Bella's way of trying to make things better. And I'm like,
What the
what?
fuck?
What are you doing? This
What
is
are
not
you
helping.
doing?
Makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Edward's okay with it. though.
Jacob also like forcibly kisses
Yeah.
her.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Get off of me!" And she punches him and breaks her hands
Yeah, that's very good.
because he's so strong. They're not rock hard like the vampires, but they'll, Bella
There's-
does everything that gets herself hurt.
There's a
Yeah.
very good
my
moment
goodness.
where
She's
Jacob
just so
says that
clumsy.
to
yeah,
Charlie
she's still
too.
clumsy.
So this all kind of is like super anticlimactic in this movie because like the newborn army is like so like not a threat. When they come, they just like get killed like immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Victoria does come after Bella, but she also like gets taken down fairly easily. Edward kills her, and like
Bella does have to cut herself to try to distract the
Yes.
vampire. Well, I guess I don't know if she needed to do this, but she did choose
she like
to
tries,
do this.
yeah, she like cuts
Yeah.
herself so that
I'll
Victoria
cut
would get
myself.
like distracted by the blood for a moment,
Yeah.
and then Edward
Yeah.
could like just jump her.
Get her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, it all kind of just like ends very easily in the end. However, so the Cullens did like adopt one of the newborn vampires that ends up being like, I really don't want to do this.
Yeah, I
or
didn't wanna be
here.
a part
like, I
of
didn't want
this.
anything.
I'm not about this.
she
right
had been
now.
hiding the
Yeah.
whole
She
time.
was like a 15-year-old girl, and yeah, so they're kind of like, all right, we're going to like rehabilitate this girl, but the Volturi show up, and they're
Mhm.
like, well, this was messed up. They
Yeah,
have like a
should've
lot
stuck
bunch
there.
of laws regarding like newborn vampires because they are so dangerous.
Yeah, because Seattle thought they had like a serial killer,
Yeah.
or there was some gang war going on because so many
Yeah.
people were disappearing. And
So like
dying.
technically Victoria was breaking the law of making the vampire law
Yeah.
of making a newborn army. So they
Newborn,
came to like
yeah.
investigate, and they're like, oh, you guys, the
again.
Cullens.
Why are you everywhere?
But like to kind of like show again, they're like really scary. They're like, you also cannot have that girl with you.
she broke the law.
She broke the law.
By
The
being
newborn they were
turned.
trying to adopt,
Mm.
and they like take her and immediately like kill her in front of the Cullens. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
They're
That's
like,
what the novella is
my-
about. Is about
Yeah.
that girl.
yeah. So there's a novella about that
Oh.
girl. And then they're like, oh, Bella, you're still human.
Interesting.
Interesting.
this is a problem.
And she's like, I have a date for when they're gonna turn me, and it's my wedding. And they're like, okay.
They're like, I don't care about that.
You're all
Okay,
invited.
but
question
still,
mark?
for some reason, they're
Doing
like,
a
all right.
ceremony for it.
I guess the only bad thing that happens in this battle is Jacob gets a little hurt.
Jacob gets a little hurt. That's like the only thing that comes out of this. The Volturi show up again and are like, interesting, and then they leave.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's all of Eclipse.
Uh-huh.
That's all of it.
That's all of Eclipse.
All right.
But like, also they decide that they are going to get married. Well, they especially have to because now the Volturi are like, make it happen.
yeah.
But they have this specific sequence of events so that they can have human sex after marriage before vampirism.
Yes. So now we're going to get
I'm
into
glad we're planning ahead.
we're going to get into Breaking Dawn, which is the last book, and Breaking Dawn was split into 2 movies.
The Harry
A
Potter
la
style.
Harry Potter. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have to say, Breaking Dawn Part 1, hardest movie to watch. of the series.
Nothing happens in this movie.
Well, okay, I watched the clips.
probably didn't
I watched
need
the
to split
clips
it
of
into
Breaking
2
Dawn Part
movies,
1
is what
back
I'm
to back,
hearing.
and I was like, these are
It's
not good.
it's rough.
It's rough. Also, just like the things that do happen in
Yeah.
Breaking Dawn Part 1 are very difficult to watch.
I was so mad when I read this book. I was
no
like, I
recollection
cannot.
of that movie.
So
I only remember the last.
Well,
part.
buckle in, everybody. This
Yeah.
is where all of the lore gets buck wild.
yes, and this is where it gets a little
Stephanie Meyer
crazy.
loses her mind.
It's so weird. Stephanie Meyer got better at writing across the series and also more wild. So I don't know what happened. We open the movie that Bella has also like reverted back to being a little bit scared of becoming a vampire because she's scared of hurting
For
people.
reasons?
Well, I
She's
think
worried
she's
about
seen like
not-
the newborn vampires thing, and
Oh.
it's like now a little bit like, ooh.
She's worried about not being herself too.
Yes.
She's like, "Will I be a different person once I turn?" And then she's
Okay.
like, "I'll never see Charlie or my mom
Yes,
again."
that's. I mean, like that sucks. So the movie
What
opens.
are they gonna tell
in-
Charlie?
That she
Hold
died.
on.
And
That's
she
the
didn't
plan, is to
think
tell
about
everyone that
this
she
before.
died.
She didn't think about this before. She was
Yeah.
just like, I want
She
to
was
be
like,
young
I'm
and beautiful.
I'm too scared of getting old.
I don't want to be
I'm
older
scared
than
of getting
you,
old.
Edward.
She has like
ability
a
to think of the consequences of her actions.
yeah.
is
She has like a
so
nightmare
much.
where she sees herself and Edward getting married, and they're like standing on top of a ton of dead people.
Everybody in the movie
Everyone-
is a corpse
Yeah.
in that
Oh my
scene.
That was like a
God.
nightmare she
I
has.
do not remember this.
That was
Yeah.
the poster they had for this movie.
Yeah.
So their plan is to tell her parents that she died.
Yes.
We'll
And
get
then
there,
she's
but
gonna
yes.
get married.
That
Like,
is
they're-
the
they
plan.
will- that is the
Yes.
plan. Like they're gonna have to be like, she died.
That's a terrible plan.
Yes.
What else are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not that.
So the movie also starts with like the wedding invitations have come out, and Jacob is so
But
pissed.
not to
he
her
runs off
family.
into the rain, transforms into
Yeah.
a wolf. He's so mad.
This book has some of Jacob's perspective in it too.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
The movie doesn't quite get that level
No.
of it, but in the book there are like many chapters that are from Jacob's perspective.
Right. So yeah, he's pretty still upset, and also like they're still like, if you bite Bella, we
Like, the
are going
treaty
to
is
attack
void.
you. But they're still going through with it. They also like, I don't remember how this plays out, but like Jacob is like arguing again with Edward about like, why are you allowing this, Edward? Like, who cares about what Bella thinks for a second? Actually, like every moment, who cares about what Bella
Yeah.
thinks? But
They're never thinking about what Bella
never
wants.
thinking about her. But Edward, why are you letting this happen? And then like for some reason, it like Jacob finds out that they're planning to have sex on their honeymoon. And Jacob's like,
Oh, God.
no, you can't. Are you stupid? You will kill her.
He's so
Oh,
mad.
God.
He's so mad. He's
Oh,
like, you
God.
will kill her, and then I will come and kill you.
And this happens at the wedding, I think, this conversation.
No, it's
right?
it's like right before.
Okay, because he shows up. He was
So-
like, "I'm not going to come to the wedding," but then
Yeah,
Edward's
he
like, "I
doesn't.
brought your best man to come and talk to you beforehand."
Yeah,
but he's
it
not
was
actually at the
before.
wedding.
It was before. Yeah.
So have they told? Okay, hold on. Who is invited to this wedding?
Everybody.
Everybody,
Do her parents
the high
think she's
school-
dead?
No.
No, they'll say that she's dead after.
Yeah. No. They all know. They all are just like, my daughter's getting married.
At 18.
At the
Bella's
young
getting
age of
married
18.
at 18.
Great.
Yeah.
So family is
She actually
there, the high
graduated
school.
high school.
I feel like that happens in the background.
Yeah,
Like,
I think
they
she does graduate, but it is not important.
It is not important, nor is
Nobody-
it ever
I
mentioned.
think they get married right
A
after
woman getting an
graduation.
education is not
I'm
important.
pretty.
of course.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's just like a total
Yeah,
background.
I
thing.
think in Eclipse she mentions that they have to get married after graduation.
Yes.
because she doesn't
Yeah.
want to
that
get
was
married
that
in
was the
high
point. She was like, I want to graduate high school.
Yeah.
That's fair.
yeah. But yeah, no,
So do
no.
they
Everybody,
plan to
everybody
still
knows
live
that.
there?
What?
Do they still plan to live there?
Yeah.
Forest Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
But her
Yes and no.
dad is
Yes
the
and no.
sheriff there.
Their plans are not well thought out, which you will learn because they do not happen according to any of the plans
Yes.
that they've set up.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Just
Um,
leave, and then Jacob wouldn't have to murder anybody.
But right
'cause they're
now,
not there.
Bella's still human, and they're getting married, and everyone is just like, well, geez, Edward and Bella are getting married right out of high school after graduation.
Classic. All right.
Billy comes, and like Seth Clearwater comes.
Yeah.
To the
To the wedding. Seth is so cute, little cute.
Yeah, Seth is a good.
He's
boy.
like the youngest werewolf, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
he is. But so they come and Jacob does not because he's pissed off about
Mhm.
all of this and.
It is even more pissed about the sex part.
Yes.
The wedding like goes off just like it's kind of it
Normal,
happens.
it's whatever.
It's boring.
Right.
But they then for their honeymoon they fly to Rio de Janeiro. And like Carlisle had apparently a long time ago bought a whole island for Esme. And
Called
so
Island Esme.
they are it's called
Yeah.
Isle Esme. And they go there for their honeymoon. So they're like totally
Isn't it
like
sunny
alone.
there? I
Yeah,
guess
but
when
they're
it's in the
alone.
sun,
It's
it's
just
fine.
them.
But it's
Yeah,
just
they're by
them.
themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
and the
fine.
caretakers,
And
but
they-
the caretakers know something is
So,
weird
yeah,
about this guy.
They have like a maid service that comes to the island like once in a while to take care of some stuff. And they like no, they're like this is something's going on here.
People are weird here, but we're getting paid well, so eh.
Yeah, so they have their honeymoon and they have sex for the first time. And in the movie, I feel like they brush over like what actually happens. And
Well,
the
they have
book-
to keep it PG-13.
The
don't
book,
they?
yeah, the book goes into some more detail.
well,
Oh,
it's
God.
the book doesn't even go into detail about
Yeah.
the sex. They do go into detail about the outcomes of that on
Like,
Bella's body
yes.
physically, which is that she is
Yeah,
covered in bruises.
Covered in bruises.
of
like-
course.
Head
He
to
has
toe. The room-
superhuman strength.
The
room
room
is
is destroyed.
destroyed.
Like the
Yeah.
bed is in pieces.
The bed's in pieces. The headboard is like split.
Split,
The
yeah.
Bed
like
frame wouldn't be able to handle
pillows are
any
all
of these
torn
forces
up.
of motion.
The thing I don't get is like, why wasn't Bella just on top? I feel like that could have made
Yeah.
all of this a lot safer if Bella
Because
was
she
in
doesn't know what she's
control of
doing.
this.
Well,
that's not the Mormon way.
yeah.
There was an easier path here that they did not take.
I don't think
Now I
this
can
That's
believe
too
it.
much
author,
for
let
Stephanie
alone
Meyer.
these pseudo children, understand that there is a Kama Sutra. You know, like there are other options. Missionary only.
Yeah, no,
I
that-
presume.
yeah. Bella got so fucked up.
She's like really bruised.
She's really bruised, and
The
like,
caretakers are like,
Yeah.
yeah, the characters are like, oh my
Super
god,
concerned. Yeah.
they're so concerned. And also Edward is like, we can't do that again.
so
No.
the rest of their honeymoon is Bella trying to seduce Edward and Edward trying to avoid
Bella's
her.
so horny for him. She's like, all I want is that again.
To be
Bella's like,
bruised
bruises,
Yes.
what bruises?
Sword.
That was awesome.
Because Bella's so just like whatever happens to me happens to me. Yeah.
there-
Also,
No.
that just is so much to process. I'm sorry.
No. Just no.
Like,
Just no.
it's
Bad.
so it's so much.
Bad.
The movie
Bad
actually cuts
writing.
away in the middle of it, I think, to give
Yes.
you a break. But then they cut to an insane thing where you see Jacob's perspective, and he and Leah are talking, and like everyone else in the tribe and the werewolf pack has like imprinted, and they're so like angsty about it. They're like, I just want to imprint or whatever. But we learn that Quill, one of Jacob's friends, imprints on a toddler, and
Oh my
like.
God, yeah.
They're like, it's fine because it won't be romantic until she's old enough. And I'm like, that's
And
not
then it
fine.
will be.
No.
And then
No,
it will
God.
be.
It's not fine.
Also,
so he's
like,
just
Not
like a
okay.
big older brother to her for now. And then
as
like,
long
No
as the
grooming.
werewolves are shifting, they will not they will age way slower.
so
Like
they are,
werewolves are
grooming's
not
still
immortal.
they're like functionally immortal.
but like they're
kind
functionally
of.
well, it's just like until they
Yeah.
they decide to stop shifting, like the danger is gone, then they will like just age and die.
Normal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
But
so
anyway.
terrible.
So,
Yeah.
so that's
This
what
is
we cut
all
away
awful.
from the honeymoon to is
you-
learning that you can imprint on a toddler, but it's
Great.
fine.
It's fine.
normal.
It's okay.
Gross.
Are you
know.
feeling better about not watching the movies now?
Terrible. What editor let this get published?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was too late. Too
It was
many
too
teen
late. I
could
girls were
Google
too
that.
into
It
it.
was too late. So the honeymoon is going that they haven't had sex again, but like Bella's like, we gotta, I want to, and Edward's like, no, and she's just trying to seduce him in every way, and he's resisting it because he's like, well, obviously I resisted you for like this entire series, so
I've been doing this for
Been doing this a
100 something
while.
years.
But then Bella wakes up and she's sick, like she throws up, and her period's late. And she calls.
Yeah, Yep.
She calls.
Exactly what
They
you
call
think, Freya.
Carlisle.
That's
They
not
call
how
Carlisle,
conception-
and he's
Okay,
like, what? Yeah.
Edward's like, how is this possible? Can this happen?
And even Carlisle's like,
I
why?
don't know. No idea.
I love that they're so old and they're like, what? How could this happen? The caretakers, one of the caretakers on the who's been coming to the island, she is like part of a indigenous group of people from Brazil. So
Some more
I'm
problems.
blanking on like the
Got it.
Mapuche. And they had like, who knows if this is real life. I did not check if this is tied to any real
More
life lore from
problematic
them.
Google searches.
But
is what
they
I'm hearing.
in the
Continue.
series they have lore, they have history and legends about cold ones, about vampires that impregnate mortal women who bear their spawn, and the women die.
They always die
They
Yeah.
always die.
in the childbirth.
Okay.
And
Fair.
so she like looks at Bella and she's like,
He's
gonna
killed
die.
you. Like he is.
killed you.
Don't die.
Which is not good. They fly back to Forks, and they have to tell Charlie that like Bella got crazy sick and she has to be quarantined.
Yeah.
So that's how they get Charlie out of this situation.
There's
Um,
also an interesting conversation where Edward sort of hints at getting Bella an abortion, and Bella is
yes, they talk
like,
about
no, I
yeah,
won't do
They're
that.
like, we got to get this out of you. So like they're talking about abortion, and Bella's
Yeah.
like, I will not have an abortion, and she connects with Rosalie. Now this is finally we get to get a little bit more about Rosalie. Besides that, like she did a
Killed her
badass
abusers.
killed her abusers in her
in her
bridal
wedding
gown.
dress, and it was
Yeah.
so cool.
So she's like, Rosalie, I need your help. They want to kill the baby, and I don't want to kill the baby. And Rosalie's like, I will protect you.
Because all
Because
Rosalie's
all
ever wanted.
Rosalie has ever wanted, and a huge reason why she hates being a vampire, is she wanted to have children.
Okay.
And vampires cannot have children.
Well, the ladies
The
can't
ladies
get
can.
pregnant.
And she always hated Bella because Bella is a human, and she is like, and you are going to waste your good human life on becoming a vampire. So that's why
Mhm.
she's always hated Bella. But
Yeah, poor choices.
in this
purpose.
situation, they now grow closer because Rosalie is like,
Yes,
I
I'm
will
pro-
protect you
I'm all
and be
about
on
the
your
baby.
side. Yeah. So abortion debate. They
Great.
Edward is like, he's like, I don't want you to have the baby because you will die, and then I will hate the baby. I will kill the baby.
Yeah, like it,
How
it
is
will
this
have
not
taken
just
my life
solved
from
that
me.
Yeah.
She births the baby and he just turns her into a vampire so she doesn't fucking die.
Crazy. That
Is
would
that
help, wouldn't
Yeah.
it?
Wild.
Well, she wouldn't have had the baby if she wasn't human. But so they go, they're dealing with all this. Jacob is pissed off, obviously.
Again.
He's
always that way.
He's always mad. He came back at
he's
first
furious
ready to
about
like kill
everything
them.
happening.
Yeah, he came back ready because he thought when he heard that Bella was being quarantined, he was like, oh, they turned her.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before they say she died or whatever.
And so he came back ready
Yeah.
to kill them, and he sees that she's
She's
pregnant.
still human.
And like
Yeah.
she
Super
also
pregnant.
she gets
Like-
pregnant so fast. Like
yeah.
it's like weeks.
Her-
It's 2
I
weeks,
have
I
heard
think.
that the gestational period for this particular pregnancy was much faster.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
way
I have
fast.
heard
It's
this.
way fast. Yeah.
I think it's literally 2 weeks entirely from like gets pregnant to has baby.
And Bella
She's
looks
also
that's awful.
losing. Yeah, she's
looks
losing.
awful.
Oh,
she's
she
losing
looks
weight,
so
like
bad.
skin and bones.
like
yeah.
worse than you could ever
I can
imagine.
like not even look at Kristen Stewart and
yeah,
at this
she's-
point.
she looks really.
Eventually, they
sick.
had to make like a Kristen Stewart doll
Yeah.
because like you can't make an actual human look as
that way.
bad.
Like
as
it's because
needed
like
to
the
look.
baby is like basically like
eating up her.
consuming her.
Yeah,
Yeah,
eating up
from-
her whatever to survive and. grow.
And so she is not doing well.
Mm.
Yeah.
They find out that like the fetus is craving blood, and so
This is another time the Cullens couldn't figure this out. They're like, why is Bella not going well? Why is it? And then Jacob is like, oh, probably wants blood. And they're like, what?
what?
A half
Yeah.
vampire
It's like-
baby would want blood?
no.
Of course
Wild.
not. What
So
the heck?
Bella actually just like
Wild.
drinks blood out of a
It's
cup
so
that
gross.
Carlisle steals from the hospital, and
Ugh.
she's like it's not bad, and also I feel better. Like the baby
Ew.
is like that obviously helps. And
Gross.
Edward is like is also so pissed off as Jacob like this whole time. Like he's like, Bella, I can't do this.
I can't live without
I can't
you.
live
This
without
is gonna
you.
kill you.
And he but then they're like having a moment together, and Edward suddenly is like, did you say something? And Bella's like, no. And he's like,
God.
I can hear the baby's thoughts.
And it likes our
And
voices.
it likes our voices. So
Now
Edward has become pro baby.
loves the
Yeah.
baby now.
Now he's not gonna kill the baby.
He's like, oh, okay, baby's
Wild
okay.
turn of 2
You might die
weeks.
though still.
Jacob is still pissed though.
Jacob is still really mad.
And he seems to be the most
So,
sane in this situation.
Jacob is like gathering the wolves too at this point, that he's like, so the wolves learn that Bella is going to have a vampire spawn baby, and they're like, that cannot happen. Because we find out that in general there's this whole thing about baby and young vampires, like
the immortal
Mhm.
children.
immortal children. The Volturi have laws against it, that you cannot ever turn a child into a vampire because they have no control. They're children. They
They
have
never
no control, and
Emotionally,
they'll
Yeah.
never emotionally or physically age, so they will be a issue.
Hmm.
they throw tantrums that kill entire towns of people. And
Yes.
they
so
are-
vampires spawn babies.
Or
also
this
are
is just regular.
you can turn a
Okay.
baby.
You could turn a
a
baby into a
toddler.
vampire.
Okay,
by
just a
biting.
bad idea.
Yeah, which is so.
Yeah, it's
with the
illegal
Volturi,
now. It's a
stays
law
illegal.
because it will almost certainly expose
But
vampires.
Yeah.
and so like the
Fair.
the werewolves are kind of like also privy to this, because they're like, that baby will be a problem and will like kill people. So
There's also a lot of fear of the unknown in
Yes.
this book, where they're like, we've never heard of
they've
a
never
vampire baby.
they've never heard of a half vampire half human baby.
Yeah.
So, but it must be bad, and we must kill it.
I
Yeah.
really think the vampire
fun.
covens.
It is
or the
crazy that
Volturi or
Carlisle
whatever
has
really
never
should be
heard of this.
publishing more books
I think
and
it is
literature.
wild. Yeah, I think it's wild that
Honestly.
Carlisle's never experienced this, or like heard of it. But so everybody's like lining up to like what's gonna happen here, and Jacob is like fully ready to be like, all right, everybody, yeah, when this baby is born, which will surely kill Bella, which number one, like it kind of is their fault that Bella died, so treaty broken, and then number two, we have to go kill the baby.
But Sam
That's
wants
a
to.
very generous interpretation of that treaty.
Right.
Well, Sam wants to kill Bella before the birth.
Yes.
So that they just don't have to deal with this at
All
all.
of
But
the
Jacob
other
is like,
Jacob's
no,
like, I
you
can't
can't.
do it.
Yeah.
And so this actually causes a schism in the pack.
Yes.
Where Jake is like, I
This is
am
the
the
alpha
alpha
wolf
now.
thing.
Yes.
The thing
Yeah.
and so he
The thing
starts
I'm
his own
supposed to be.
pack, basically.
And Leah and Seth join Jacob's new pack.
Because Seth has got such a good moral heart. He's like, we
Yeah.
can't kill Bella. And then Leah's just like, I hate those guys.
Yeah. I like my brother. Yeah, so they split a little bit, and
Jacob starts to work with the Cullens to protect Bella.
yeah, he's helping them, but also he's like, I'm going to do something about this if if like Bella does die and that baby like kills her and it's terrible, like I will also
handle-
He just
kill
wants
it.
to handle it
Yeah.
differently than Sam.
Yeah. So, this is all big build up that then like Bella starts randomly like going into labor, especially, and then of course like Carlisle is gone when it happens.
Carlisle is out hunting because
He's-
they're like, you need all
He
the
needed
blood
to
you
save his
have."
thirst, because like this is gonna be crazy.
Oh, we do right before this learn what Bella is planning on naming the baby.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
If
that's
it's a
right.
boy, which she is convinced it's a boy for some reason. I don't know why.
I
If
don't
it's
remember.
a boy,
Yeah.
she wants
Maybe
to name
ask
him.
the guy who could read its mind, but okay.
Well,
He
Edward
thinks
has
it's a
no
boy,
idea. He
too.
also thinks it's a boy.
He also
Yeah.
thinks it's a boy.
All right.
And if it's a boy, she wants to name it EJ for Edward Jacob. And
What?
so it'd be EJ Jr.
EJ?
That's genuine. She was like, my two
Like the
favorite men.
letters?
What?
Or like EEJAY?
Well, it would be Edward Jacob, and she'd shorten it to EJ. So
Like
she kept
CJ
calling-
of this
yeah,
podcast.
like
Yeah.
CJ.
No. would Edward allow that? No.
He was all in on it, but then if
Well,
it
sure.
was he
Edward
kind of, at this
Jacob?
point, Edward is like, whatever Bella wants. Like,
Whatever.
this is all Bella's thing. And then if it's a girl, she wants to take her mom's name, Renee, and Edward's mom's like vampire mom's name, Esme, and made Renesmee.
Renesmee. Yeah.
So 2 really just
Oh,
banging
also-
options.
Also,
God.
Renesmee's middle name, Carly.
Carla.
Carlisle and Charlie.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
Oh, it's awful.
Oh
my
That's
God.
why
So just, like-
Iceland has a list of names you can choose from when you
The
have a
best
child.
names you've ever heard.
So yeah, if
That's really
anyone
good.
gets pregnant, you can consider just mashing names up until you
I
get
love that.
something. Carly is at least
Carly's like
Name.
a Carly name.
Make that, yeah.
So Bella is giving birth and she's dying.
she is.
yeah.
This is where the doll comes in.
This
It's
is-
not Kristen
yeah.
Stewart anymore.
Yeah. She's like literally being like torn apart.
Her-
They're trying to do a C-section, but like her womb is like hard as stone because like a
Impenetrable.
baby is impenetrable, so they can't get into it.
So I think eventually Edward has to bite
So
it out.
Edward has to bite it out. So she doesn't give she gives birth through C-section that Edward bit open bit
It's
her open.
horrifying because when she goes
It's
into
so
labor, her whole
bad.
back
It's
just
so-
Wait,
breaks
does
too.
that happen in the movie?
Yeah,
Yes.
you see him like
You
start
Really
biting
should have
and
grabbed
tearing.
a werewolf because they have
Maybe that was
claws.
traumatic,
that
and
can-
that's why I don't
You
remember.
gonna ask
Scratch.
Jacob to go do that? Do that.
Ah,
Kitties.
bad problem solving.
So basically, essentially, they do get the baby out, and the baby's fine and healthy. I love that. I'm pretty sure in the movie, Rosalie just like walks away with the
Yeah,
baby.
she's like, I don't
Like,
care
anyway,
about Bella anymore.
And Bella is like dying on the table.
And Edward's like,
Yeah,
no,
bleeding out.
And he, instead of biting her, injects her with his venom, with the syringe.
like he had
Where did
extracted
he
it.
get that?
He injects it straight into her heart because
Yeah,
that's like
it was like-
the fastest way to do it.
Also,
Okay, so there
he,
was
like,
a
had that
plan.
prepared, apparently.
Yes,
Yeah,
he
there
had
was
that.
a plan.
I remember
there
that.
was
I'm
a plan.
hearing.
Apparently, he just can't bite her, I guess. I don't know. Also, like, I feel like at one point they were like, Edward, you can't be in here. Well, this was in a different part of the movie where she was hurt. And she was like, Edward, you can't be with me where my blood is out because it's so irresistible to you. But he's like,
Yeah.
I got over it.
I got it.
When I thought
So,
you died,
it's
I
like
got
literally
over it.
like he just got over that. And that's like a
Good job.
whole... So anyway, so that's why he can be in the room when she's like bleeding out and dying and
Yeah.
be fine. But he still has to inject her with a syringe.
Well, like you said, the heart's the fastest way to get there.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So
Fine.
But it does seem like Bella has died.
Because if you don't get the venom in early enough, if your heart's not pumping, the venom doesn't spread and
Doesn't
you just
spread,
actually
yes.
die and
Yeah.
don't turn into a
Yeah.
vampire.
So Bella is lifeless on the table, and
For a
Jacob
while.
and like Jacob tries to perform CPR on her, and like
That part is only in the movie. In the book,
Yeah.
Jacob is not there when
Yeah.
she goes into labor.
yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that seems
Well,
like a bad
so I mean,
choice to
she
have.
is. She appears to be dead.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
Rosalie's in another room being like, "Baby."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Jacob is like so mad. I mean, he's like, "All right, great. Yep. So I get to go.
Now I'm gonna go
that
kill all of
thing,
them.
and I will, tell them kill everybody else of the Cullens." And he walks into the room, and comes up behind Rosalie, and she holds up the baby, and Jacob sees that baby, and imprints on the
God
baby.
damn it. Ah.
This is when I shut the book.
So gross.
And I was like,
Yes.
I have to take a
I'm
break
out.
now.
God.
I'm out.
But it's okay. Even though she's like 5 minutes old, it's not weird.
Yeah, because he'll
has
wait
completely
until she's
non-sexual
of age
feelings
or
for the
non-sexual,
something
which they do
ridiculous.
mention at one point because Jacob is like, "Do you think Edward would let me live if I did?" And I was like,
I don't think anyone would,
I know,
Jacob.
yeah,
I
nobody
know.
would be okay with that.
Ugh.
He considered it.
Oh my god.
No,
Gross.
it's so. I mean, at one point Jacob was like, "Hey Edward, should I start calling you Dad?" And it's like, this
Oh,
is
no,
a
this
baby.
is wrong.
Oh my god.
No. Stop.
Everyone's
Not
like, no.
Not okay.
No.
Bad.
Well, so that thwarts his
Poor
his attempt.
Taylor Lautner for having to deliver
Yeah.
those lines.
Well, also this kind of like fixes the werewolf issue because the werewolves cannot hurt anyone that has been imprinted on by another member.
So the werewolves
they
can't do anything.
cannot do anything
Baby's
about
fine.
this baby, about
Yeah.
Renesmee. Who was a girl. Her name is Renesmee. And so that like solved that problem. And then it's like takes a long time. It takes like 2 days, but Bella does not actually die. She was just like basically almost dead, and
She was turning.
she was
silently.
silently. So she is transformed into a vampire, and that is where like the first half of like part 1 ends of the
the
Breaking
movie
Dawn.
ends.
It is
Okay.
really funny when she transforms. Like they show her, cheeks filling
Cheeks
out
filling
her
in,
body.
yeah.
That her
But
chest goes like,
Just like,
boop.
yeah.
And then like suddenly she just has makeup on. Like the
Yeah.
transformation put makeup
because you
on
become
her.
because you become more beautiful.
It was just
I
it
mean,
was
that
a lot
seems
of
like a pretty
makeup.
good
It's a lot of
bonus.
makeup. She also looked really
never have to do
bad.
makeup again.
Yes.
So yeah, she's like supposed to be like more beautiful than she was before.
Uh-huh.
As she described herself, she was very plain. So whatever.
Now she's stunning.
Now she's stunning.
Edward is
Okay.
So anyway, so we come back and Bella is a vampire now. I think it's so funny. It starts with like she does not actually see Renesmee for a long time.
she doesn't really care that
And
much.
she doesn't like give a shit.
Edward and Bella do not give much parent energy
Yeah,
at all.
At
where it's like
all.
Rosalie and Jacob are the two who are like, I love Renesmee, I'll take care of her.
caring
And
for
her.
Yeah.
Edward and Bella are
They,
like,
like,
we're
do
gonna have a
nothing.
lot of sex now.
Yeah. Yeah, Bella awakens and she's a vampire. She's a newborn vampire. She's they're like, you should not see the baby because like you should go drink something. So Edward takes her hunting and like she kills a mountain lion. Because like she sees one and like she was trying to chase a deer, but like a mountain lion was also hunting the deer,
Yep.
and she ends up like killing the mountain lion and drinking his
Yup.
blood. And Edward's like,
Oh,
"Wow, you're so sexy. You're so strong."
Oh my
That's
god.
like literally what's happening.
Bella, when she first wakes up and sees Edward, like hugs him, but he's like, "Oh, you're too strong."
Yeah, she like grabs him and he's like, "Ugh." Because like they don't know, she doesn't know her own strength. That's like
Yeah.
all newborn
Yeah.
vampires. They don't know their
Yeah.
new strength.
But
Oh,
she
it's good
does
on Robert
see a
Pattinson's
human
acting.
while she's hunting and doesn't kill him, which is like a
yeah,
big deal.
which is weird because like she's supposed to have like feeding frenzy,
Yeah.
like can't control
Yeah.
herself, but like she does. So
Oh,
like
that's exciting.
that's like never explained. She's just randomly good at it.
It just is.
Yeah.
She just is.
All right.
I'll
Take it.
but like so they then like she they see the baby Renesmee and they and she's like, Jacob, you're here. That's weird. He's like yeah, so I love your baby. But like
but it's normal.
But it's normal.
For
But I
now.
like really love your baby.
Had
I'm
to
gonna be
admit.
with your baby forever.
And Bella, rightfully so, is so pissed about
Yeah,
this.
she's like, she's like, what the fuck? She like starts
'Cause-
attacking him.
Yeah, because Jacob
This
is
is-
also being really. He's like, you shouldn't get near that. You shouldn't do like making all these rules. And Bella's like, that's my kid.
Yes,
Like, what
my
the
child.
heck?
It's my child.
Gross.
So yeah, so they like, but eventually she's just kind of like, whatever, I guess.
But they also learn at this point. Jacob is like, look at me, Bella. Are you in love with me? Do you have any attraction for me? And Bella's like, no. And Jacob's like, I'm not attracted to you anymore either. We only liked each other because of the egg in your body, and that became Renesmee. They have no feelings for each other at all anymore because the Renesmee is
God.
it was
born
simply
now.
it was
could
simply the
not get
single
any
egg in your
weirder.
body that I was
Oh my
attracted to.
God.
This could not get
No.
any weirder, please.
That's real.
No.
This is
That's
real.
real.
This is
That's
real
actually
lore.
real.
That is real lore
That's real.
Yes.
for the series.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
Which makes
No,
me wonder,
I
was
don't like
he
that.
attracted to Edward because Edward had the sperm in his body? Or
But
did they
sperm-
have
so
like a
sperm
secret
doesn't just sit in
tension?
there, though.
You
That's
know
a
they
great
did.
question.
You know they did.
Maybe Carla would know.
That's why he was so mad at him.
Yeah.
So I was
It's
like,
like, "Oh, you're just so hot when you're
Just
so
so
angry.
sexy.
Oh my god.
when you're protective over the girl, I also like.
Makes me so mad.
I'm sure there's a fanfic somewhere where we can explore this.
Oh
further.
yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure.
I'm sure.
Well,
So
Oh my
that
God.
happened. Okay.
Yeah, so that happened.
They also do call Charlie over because Charlie's been freaking out that like Bella's been in like quarantine, and they're like, you can't see her, Charlie.
Yeah. And they were gonna just be like,
She
oh,
died.
we have
Died.
to tell Charlie that she died, but Jacob goes over and is like,
Oh, yeah.
no, Bella is alive. Bella is fine. I have to show you something. And then he starts getting naked. And Charlie is like, what are you doing?
What is
He's still
happening?
just like taking all of his clothes off. And
see
Charlie's
my
like,
muscles.
okay, Jacob, what is going on?
Yeah, I love this scene in the movie.
How old is Jacob right now, by the way?
16?
16 or 17.
Yeah. No, Charlie should be like, what the fuck
Yeah,
is going
Charlie
on
is like,
here? This
Charlie,
is a
but he
minor.
doesn't leave. He's like, I am going to hear you out, but I do not like the fact that
I
you're getting
can't.
totally naked here. But then
No.
Jacob turns into a wolf in front of him
Yeah.
to basically
Cool.
convince him, like, he's like, Bella is different and you can't ask questions about that. So Jacob was like, I never said that they were vampires, so I didn't break the treaty. I just exposed myself.
Did
Yeah,
such a
okay.
good job, Jacob.
Multiple
No.
ways.
Yeah,
gracious.
multiple ways exposed himself.
So Charlie comes over with that knowledge, and he's just like, okay. Like, so.
They're like,
And like, Charlie just seems to be like, okay, I
Yeah,
guess
so-
I'm just gonna like Bella, I'm glad you're okay.
Pretend I don't know
Happy
anything.
you're
And then like
alive.
but they also are like, so I'm fine. And also Edward and I adopted a baby.
they
Uh-huh.
adopted Edward's niece.
They adopted Edward's niece.
Okay.
Is
Not
what they
one of
tell-
these people, though.
Yeah. Not any of the people here. Just a different niece.
Different niece.
Yeah.
Extended family.
Extended family. Yep.
Yeah. And so they're like,
And
but
also, she's a little different and she ages very
well,
rapidly.
they're like, well, that's their explanation for like she is aging faster. Like she's
Yeah.
And so like that's their explanation for like she's not a newborn kid.
yeah, she's like a toddler
She's like
now.
a toddler.
Yeah.
How many days have passed?
Probably like 3.
Like a week. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the
Not
other
very
thing.
much.
That's the other thing about Renesmee is that then the rest of this book she is like aging like fast,
Very rapidly.
very fast. But she
Until
has
when?
a pumping heart. She's got blood in her veins.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
But like she also like will eat blood. She
Yeah.
can also eat food.
She has her own special power, which is she can touch people and put her thoughts and memories into their head. Sort of like the inverse
Interesting.
of Arrow.
Yeah.
Related to
Huh.
that, so we have found out then too, especially now that she's a vampire, that Bella actually she has an ability, and that's what's been showing as a human, that she has a shield ability to
Okay.
like protect herself from other like
Powers.
powers and effects. And she also comes to like learn that she can, it's just on herself, but she learns to like that she can spread it over other people, so other people
Oh.
have a shield. So yeah, so
That's
her
fun. She,
ability
like,
is
trains
basically
up.
like shield.
Okay.
But to lead up to that, so like a bunch of things are happening. They're like, we have a baby now. Charlie's like, okay, and he goes back home.
Charlie's just like, I guess I have to
I guess
accept
I just have to
this
accept this
if I want to
and
see
whatever.
my daughter.
I'm glad you're alive. And
And he knows something's up with the kid.
he
'cause
knows
she's
like
like,
it's weird. and
the
he
baby
knows-
has your eyes, Bella.
yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
huh, she has your eyes. That's weird. Previously we had kind of established that. So Carlisle, they call them their cousins. Carlisle has friends. The whole Cullens, they have a friend, Coven, who live in Alaska, and they have been like aware of this situation because they're like allies, and they're like, you know,
They're the only other vegetarian coven.
they're also
that we
the
know of.
only
Okay.
other vegetarian coven. Yeah.
Their story
Alright.
is really funny because it's a bunch of women and they decided to become vegetarian because they loved sleeping with men, but they kept
There's
killing
one
the
guy in their
humans.
group, though.
Yeah, one of them does
Mhm.
One
made
of them
up
has
with them,
has a husband.
but they like love just sleeping with men so much, but they kept killing them. And they were like, we gotta stop
gotta
killing
stop.
these dudes after we have sex with them. So they decided
Yeah,
to
'cause then
become
we can't keep-
vegetarian so that they could
Okay.
have sex and not be overwhelmed.
Great.
So
Yeah,
they had like
that's
been with them,
pragmatic.
and
Yeah.
they came over to see Bella, basically, now that she's a vampire. And they one of them sees
Irina
sees Renesmee. And she thinks, oh my god, the Cullens have picked up a random child and turned it into a vampire.
They
which is
created
against
an
the law.
immortal child.
And I can't remember now. Marina kind of has some like angst going on.
Yeah, because she was dating
right.
Laurent,
She was dating Laurent.
who the wolves killed.
Who the wolves killed. So she has like she came to Bella and Edward's wedding and established
She was,
that she was like,
pissed.
I'm not gonna be around the werewolves.
Okay, fair.
But so she was kind of like around and like sees the immortal child and is like, oh my god. And she runs to the Volturi and is like, the Cullens turned a child. They have an immortal child.
If they were aware of the situation, why did they just not tell them the situation?
So they weren't like aware that Bella was pregnant. They were aware that Bella was becoming a vampire.
And
That's like all they knew.
Arena left before she talked to any of the Cullens.
Yes, she
So
did not
just
talk to
saw.
them.
She
just
saw
saw
it.
baby and was like,
And
holy
they
shit.
know that Arena saw it because they saw
Miscommunication.
Arena. Arena saw them. They just didn't think that it was a big deal, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I think well,
classic miscommunication.
I think they have. I think it's that Alice has the vision of her going to the Volturi.
Yeah,
And she's
eventually,
like,
yeah.
Uh-oh. And so the Volturi are like, we've been needing a good reason to go see those people again. And so
They plan to come.
they are
and
planning
kill.
to come, and obviously they're going to kill Renesmee 100%. And so
and all of the rest of the coven except for the people whose powers they
yes, because they're like, you broke the law, so that means
Yeah.
all of you have to die, except the ones that we would like to be in our group.
Which they say, Era will say, I saw their minds and they were truly repentant, so we will allow them to live.
Yeah,
But they always have a
He
special
likes to
power.
say. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
He wants Edward and Alice.
Yeah.
Those are who he wants. He really likes Alice.
Yeah.
In a creepy way.
Yeah.
He likes the
All problematic.
future reading. So they're getting ready to go. They're like, oh god, we gotta do something. We gotta they set it up like we have to be ready to defend ourselves, but also like defend ourselves in court. Like
Yeah, they need to get witnesses.
we need to prove to them that she's not an immortal child and she is a hybrid baby.
Yeah.
And we need to prove it to them, but also we need to be ready because they're coming to attack us.
Yeah.
So they start to gather like all of Carlisle's friends ever.
Mhm.
And so some of them are the rest of the Alaska group. They like bring Renesmee to show them, and they all like freak out. They're like, "Oh, baby!" But then they're like, "No, listen, please." And the like Renesmee like touches them and like
and shares her whole
shares
story.
her whole story. Like she
Yeah.
remembers being in Bella's womb and stuff like that.
No. Oh.
And they're like,
no.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
They're all like, "Oh."
They're like,
Shit,
I'm
Wanna see
convinced.
okay.
that. Can't unsee
So
that
they
now.
like basically
Okay.
go around the world gathering Carlisle's friends,
Yeah.
who are also like more fascinating thing about Twilight. All of the characters that appear for like a second are vastly more interesting than the main cast.
They have like a lot of backstory that they barely get into.
There's
they get,
lots
like-
of cool people that come.
They get like 20 people, I think.
They have a
Right.
lot. They have like friends from. There's the Irish coven.
Mm-hmm.
There's
The
two-
Egyptian
the
coven.
Egyptian coven, which is really cool. There's an Amazonian coven.
Mhm.
There's these
A
two
couple
Romanian
lone-
guys.
Couple lone wolves.
A couple lone wolves here and there.
One guy who always is talking about fighting in the U.S. Military, and he'll be like, "Name any U.S. battle, I was there."
Yeah.
That's his whole thing.
So they're
Very
gathering all these
patriotic.
people to be able to like be on their side, to be like, we know that she's not an immortal child, she's a hybrid, and then also we have your back if they start like fighting you.
And a lot of them have
Okay.
special powers.
A lot of them have special powers, so this is where we find some like way crazier powers than
way
the
more
Cullens.
interesting powers. Where I'm like, Volturi, why are you not
There's a
Yeah.
Egyptian
Yeah.
guy played by Rami Malek in the movie.
Benjamin?
Benjamin, he literally can control the elements. He's the avatar.
Any element.
Any element.
Okay.
But like they say for him in particular, the like head of that Egyptian coven is like, I keep Benjamin like way
Locked
on the
up.
down, like locked up, like hidden, because I know the Volturi would really like him. But Benjamin is very sympathetic and wants to help because the Egyptian coven tries to leave for that reason, and Benjamin's like, I want to help them.
Yeah.
The one of the Amazonian ladies, she can like make you see anything she wants you to see.
Mhm. So she could just be like, you're in an Amazonian jungle now, and you'll just like
she'll be
think
like,
you're there.
here, let me show you my home, and like you just like look around and you're like in the
or she can make you
rainforest.
blind, which happens.
She can also make you blind. Yeah, so she can control your vision and what you
Your
see.
sight.
Yeah.
Cool.
One of the Alaska ladies is like electric.
It's so weird.
She just like has an electric charge, so she can like shock people
If she touches
if she
you.
touches
So
you.
cool.
This is the one where the electric charge does not work on Bella.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a physical thing.
Yeah.
Right, Stephanie Meyer? That can't be a mental thing.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it does not work.
Yeah, you know,
Okay.
whatever. I think that's the main
I think
ones.
those are the main ones.
I do like, so they're all like, even though some of them do eat people, they're all like pretty chill, and except the Romanian guys.
Because they're not really friends.
They're
they
not
just
friends with
hate
them.
Volturi.
They like just showed up because they like heard about it, and they're like, we hate the Volturi and we want to kill them. And they're like, okay. Yeah,
they're like the oldest vampires.
they're like, yeah, they're from Romania.
Yeah.
They're like, the Volturi like took away our castle in like
Burned
the
it down.
1400s,
Those
and we've
bitches
been
took
pissed
it.
about it since. And
They-
they're
very
just
interesting.
there to be like against the Volturi,
Yeah.
which is really funny.
Okay.
They do not care about
They
anything.
don't care about anything else. They're just like, yeah, whatever
They're
you guys
just-
got
We're
going
here
on.
for the
Revenge.
opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, one of the vampires, a British vampire, is played by Lee Pace, which
He's
is
so good.
Like, I was rewatching these, I was like, Lee Pace. Oh my god, he's Legolas's dad. I think like before this movie,
Mhm.
or like in the same time period as these movies, and then I can't remember. He's in Harry Potter too, I think. Right?
I don't remember him.
Yeah, he's Malfoy.
Malfoy,
He's
that's
Malfoy's
right.
dad.
Oh, Jason Isaacs?
Yeah, no, that's a different guy. That's not Malfoy's dad.
Yeah.
It's Lee Pace. Hold on, I'll look it up real quick. Lee Pace. Lee Pace. He's got.
He's looks really good. In
He's
this
from
movie.
Pushing Daisies, right? He's the main guy in Pushing Daisies. And then he's
yeah,
like
he was in Bodies.
He's
the
been in
weird
a
old
lot of
guy.
stuff, but he's like randomly in this movie, which I was like, Lee Pace, and Rami Malek. Anyway,
Stacked cast.
cast. So they have all these people, and they start like
Oh.
training, and that's when Bella is like, I potentially can like put my shield around a lot of people, which would be really good.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
at this point is when Alice and Jasper
Especially
just
for the
totally
pain.
Also,
leave.
yeah. So Alice and Jasper just disappear.
just dip.
Oh.
And so like they're all like without a word. And so they're like, they're just like, we don't want to deal with this. Like that's what everyone's taking this as. They
They
ran away.
They
Yeah.
think that Alice saw the future and that they're all going to die, and so she took Jasper to
So
leave.
it's yeah, so not good, but they still are like, well, let's go
There we
do
are.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they arrive, so the Volturi arrive in Forks, and they're in like this huge like field. They did get like another like truce with the werewolves because they were like, guys, the like Volturi are gonna come and they are gonna kill like everybody, and then they're also going to, well, they'll kill Renesmee, which is against our law to hurt
Mhm.
anyone that a member has imprinted on. So they are now allies. The werewolves are like, we will also fight to kill these Volturi guys if that's what it comes to. So they all
I think
show
the
up.
werewolves are more gung ho about killing.
I mean,
than
yeah, 'cause
they're
they
like,
like
that's
to-
what we want to do.
Yeah, they like
Yeah.
to kill the vampires. So they're
Yeah.
like, yeah, sure.
Didn't take a lot of convincing there.
Get it.
Yeah.
So
they come, they all show up on this like big like barren landscape. It's like snowing. And they have like a little face off, and the Volturi in the movie are like so much smaller than they are in the book. Like in the
Like a
books,
ton.
they have like a lot more people that are described to be there with powers, so
yeah.
they're very threatening. But like they come up to speak to Arrow.
Because
And-
they're like, we have witnesses
We have,
to
like,
show you we
witnesses,
don't have
yeah.
an immortal kid.
Yeah. And now I'm totally
Because
forgetting how this plays out.
so Carlisle is like, we don't have an immortal kid. Arrow wants Edward to come up first because he's the most connected to it. Arrow reads his mind, and then they bring Renesmee up, and Renesmee touches Arrow and puts her whole mind story. And so now Arrow is like really intrigued because this is another power, and he's obsessed with those. And then they're like, oh, okay, so there's not an immortal child, which means that
Correct.
Irina lied to us, and she
Oh.
made a false accusation. And so they just straight up murder Arena
Yes,
in
they
front of
murder
everybody.
Irina in front of her family.
That
Yeah.
escalated very
so they're
quickly.
very
Yes.
upset.
But then Arrow is like, well, you might not be an immortal child, but we don't know anything about you. And that makes you a danger. So we
Yeah.
need to kill this kid because we don't know if she's going to expose us like any other immortal child would.
So I don't remember how this is like revealed in the books, but like Arrow is also like looking for an excuse to destroy the Cullens at this point because he is getting nervous about the size of their coven because they're a large
Yeah.
coven.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
have a lot of good,
Strong
powerful
powers.
people in it
Powerful
with like
people, yeah.
interesting abilities
That he wants.
that he wants. And so he does not like this. And so he's really looking for an excuse to kill them. And
Yes.
so that doesn't come across in the movie really, but
Arrow's just sort of like a weird little guy.
yeah,
in
he's
the
a weird little
movie.
guy. He's
like
played by
Martin
He's played
Sheen?
by Michael Sheen
Michael
or Martin Sheen.
I don't remember his first name.
He plays Aziraphale in Good Omens.
Yes.
He's a
Yeah.
good actor.
He's
He is a
really
good
good.
actor.
He
He's a
crushes
really good
it.
actor. Yeah.
I
He's
think-
so
I think-
interesting.
Yeah.
I think his intent to kill the Cullens comes out.
I mean, I think that comes
but
out,
maybe
but not the
I
reason.
haven't
Not
read
the
that
reason,
book,
yeah.
so maybe
Yeah.
it's not as intense as the book
Yeah.
describes it to be.
Sure.
But at this point, Alice and Jasper show back up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they like Alice walks up to Arrow and she's like, I want you to hold my hand and I can show you like the visions that I've had of
Like, I know that they're safe.
of the consequences of like this and like, I have like
Yeah.
proof of why it will all be okay also.
Like, I can
Okay.
show you the future.
Okay.
And so this happens and Arrow's like, oh, interesting. And this is the part where I can't remember like what leads to this.
In the movie, after this happens, Alice pulls her hand away and goes,
Yeah.
nothing that I show you could change anything. You can't be swayed by anything. And so then Alice, and this part I do not understand why, Alice just kicks Arrow and he like flies way, way far away. I don't know why she decided to be the aggressor first, but she just decks him out. And so then people start fighting, like the vampires
It's
start
kind of like
running.
domino effect. Like
Yeah, like Carlisle runs up to protect Alice because they're grabbing her, and then somebody runs up on
Mhm.
Carlisle.
yes, it's because you're right. It's because Arrow wants to keep Alice because he
Yes.
wants
Yeah.
her to be a part of his coven. So that's why.
Mhm.
So like
Alice is
Carlisle
like-
runs up to like protect Alice because they start like grabbing her to pull
Yeah.
her away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they don't
And-
want her to be in the battle because
Yeah.
they don't want her to get killed.
And Carlisle runs up and Arrow faces him and Arrow decapitates Carlisle.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Head off.
head off.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
everyone
Holy-
freaks out.
And he holds it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, he
Yep.
holds it up and everyone freaks out. And so then, everyone just starts running at each other to
And
start
this is
That-
like a
that's
mad.
huge
also very
all
quickly.
out fight. And
Yeah.
there's a
Holy
lot
shit.
happening. And like
Jasper gets decapitated.
Jasper dies. And so then
Yep.
Alice is very upset.
There's
Very
a lot of dying.
upsettingly, Seth is killed. He's
The
like
werewolf
one of
who's
the
like
youngest
14
werewolf.
years old or
His
something.
Yeah.
literally neck is crushed by one of the
Aw.
vampires.
Yep.
And like the
Um,
movie like makes you watch the light leave this CGI
It
wolf's
is.
eyes.
It is dark.
It is really
That's
dark.
brutal.
People on the Volturi are dying too. So Jane,
Yes.
the girl who can do the pain thing, she gets killed. Her brother gets
That's
killed.
probably a good option
Yes.
to get rid of
She
quickly.
she was really mad that her power wasn't working because Bella was spreading
Oh, yeah.
her like
The
shield
shield,
over
yeah.
everyone, and she was really frustrated. In the book,
Yeah.
I feel like I remember they described her as like kind of throwing a tantrum.
Yeah.
She does not do
Yeah.
that in the movie.
She's fairly young.
Yeah.
Jane and her twin brother are like supposed to be 12 years old.
yeah, they're like 12.
Ah.
Yeah, but so in
No.
the book,
In
I
the
remember she's like
movies,
throwing a
they're
tantrum because she's
adults.
pissed.
Yeah, that it didn't
But
work.
she did not do that in the movies. She just like
Yeah.
stares at them.
The battle keeps going. It gets wild. Like Benjamin creates a giant crater in the middle of the battlefield
Yes,
because he
our
can just
Avatar
spread
guy.
the.
Yeah.
So people are like falling in the hole and dying.
So Leah like pulls a couple vampires in and like
Yeah,
presumably
falls into the hole.
dies. Edward is
Oh.
about to fall in. Esme falls in and dies.
Yep. Edward jumps out and he's okay.
Edward jumps out. He's okay.
And then they start killing the main three Volturi guys. So Caius is killed, who's just one of the three. Marcus has the coolest death
Yeah.
ever, where he stands there. He's the one who like doesn't want to be a part of the Volturi and is really depressed.
Yeah.
And so then he just stands there and he goes, "Finally," and lets them attack him
Yeah.
and rip him apart.
Yeah, it's like good for him.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so like all this shit's happening. Jacob Ed had like this plan that he would run away with Renesmee on his
Renesmee.
back in wolf form.
Yeah.
protect
if
her.
stuff happened.
They had a go bag.
Yeah,
So
shit went
they're out of this. They're
Yeah.
running, but there are Volturi pursuing them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But like Jacob's getting really upset because he's hearing in his hive mind that Seth and Leah
Like he had
are
to hear
dead.
them die, like in
Yeah.
his brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
then
so it's
it's-
I said this
That's-
earlier, but
that's
like I
painful,
actually
but-
was really sad.
Yes.
Rewatching this, I was like, this is so sad.
Yes, it
And-
was sad when.
And
he
it's
And
so
then-
graphic.
die and
It's
it- yes.
really
so
graphic.
It's
And
scary
then
and
it-
it's unexpected.
But then here's the kicker.
The whole thing ends with Bella and Edward killing Arrow and
Yeah.
ripping his head off and holding it
Right.
up.
And, they're
Yeah.
And you like kind of
Yeah.
zoom in on Arrow's eyes.
Yeah.
and then it randomly zooms back out and they're all standing there again when Alice is talking to Arrow. So we like rewind.
Yeah. So
Because
it's just
that-
what she sees and shows him
So
that's
that
what
was
is going to happen.
What Alice showed Arrow
Yeah.
was
Okay.
going to happen if he like initiates. And she was like, "There's nothing that will happen except you will die.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
everybody will die, and you will die."
Mhm.
And Arrow was like,
I don't want to die.
Arrow was swayed by this.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to die. Okay.
Because Caius did not see this, and Caius is like, "No, we can't take any chances." And Arrow's like, "Zip, zip, zip, zip."
Arrow's like, "No, no, no,
Yeah,
no,
no,
no.
no, no,
I think we should leave.
I think this is. I think we've been convinced.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's good actually that we should leave." So now this is crazy, but that whole part where we saw like that huge battle, so that was just
not
like
real.
that didn't actually happen. That was just Alice's vision, and we got to see it in the movie. Do not see that in the book.
It doesn't happen in the book at
In
all.
the book, it's literally so anticlimactic. It is anticlimactic anyway, but like
You don't
in the
get any
book,
battles.
you just like they just walk up and have that little conversation, and then they're like, "Well,
We've been convinced.
well,
All
that's
right,
it."
Fine.
That's
Though
it.
there is a little bit
No
more
problem here.
convincing that Alice
Yes.
has to do, because they're like, we still don't know if the child poses a danger to
This
us
does
or
happen
not.
in the movie too. So like Alice is like, I was gone because I was searching for a really important other witness. And so she
Mm.
brings out this guy who is a hybrid. He's a half human, half vampire. He's from
Convenient.
Brazil. He's part of
Oh.
the tribe of people that that one lady who was doing
Yeah,
the
we
maid
talked
service
about.
was from.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
he's like, hey, so I'm I'm Eric.
Hi.
I don't remember
How
his
you doing?
name.
I don't remember his name either.
But he's like, so, I'm an adult man. I'm fine. I'm not a threat to anybody. I live in secrecy to humans, but I appear human to humans because I've got like blood in my
Mhm.
veins. I can eat human food. But I can also eat blood. I can live on both. And yeah, I'm a chill guy.
Yeah.
And the
I'm a
Volturi like,
chill
oh,
dude.
everybody's like, oh shit, okay.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so
Dope.
Oh, he's
dope.
so chill.
So yeah, so he showed up to be like, here's proof of like,
It has
I
happened
don't
what
remember.
happened.
Was
Yeah.
it like they grew up to a certain age and they stop aging?
Yeah,
after
he, like,
that?
explains-
Takes 7 years to reach
7?
full
Yeah,
maturity.
okay.
So
I
when he is
forgot
7
what that
years
is.
old, when Renesmee presumably is 7 years old, she'll be full maturity.
Yeah, he describes
Whatever
it's like
I don't
age
like
you
that
like
is.
become like you age into like an 18-year-old, but in 7 years, and then you just stay like that.
Yeah.
Forever.
Because he's like
but then
150.
she's still gonna be 7.
I know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Gross.
It's no good.
It's not
Gross.
good,
That's
Fran.
not
But the good thing is that Bella has learned. Bella was really concerned that she was going to age so rapidly that she would just die
Yes.
right
yeah.
away. So
Yeah,
Bella
that's-
now
that was
feels
my
very safe knowing that she will live a long time with them.
So ultimately, there was one death, which was Arena, who was killed by the
Mm.
Volturi.
That one
which
was
is a
real.
bummer, but like at least
Yeah.
all those other deaths didn't happen.
Yeah.
But the Volturi just like leave it because they was like, okay, yeah, I don't want to die. Bye.
Yeah,
Bye
see ya.
bye.
And that's that. They're like, all
Ah.
right, great, we did it. And
Yay.
and we get to see Alice has like a vision of Renesmee when she's fully grown. She's with Jacob
Jacob on a
romantically as a
beach.
couple.
Yeah.
Barf.
Barf,
Nope.
Edward and Bella are like embracing them. So like Alice has that vision and she shares it with Edward. And he's like, yay.
Yay.
Yay. And then like
Oh, no.
the series ends that Edward and Bella go to their favorite meadow that they always go to in the movies to like
Every
sit and
time.
like look at each other. And Bella, yeah, that's what they do. And
That's
then
what they're always doing.
Bella
Yeah.
is like, I learned another trick, which is that she can like make her shield, like she can make it go away from herself. And so she lets Edward read her mind for the first time ever. And
You-
she just shows him like all of her memories of him and like is like, nobody loves you as much as I do, Edward.
She shows the depression memories.
I was like,
though. Where she's like her
She,
just
like,
sitting in
she
a
shows
chair.
him all the memories she has of Jacob and being like, look at how much I fucked up, Jacob.
I know. Look how terrible this
Look
is.
how
going.
terrible I was to him because I was so sad about you.
Remember what? Here's all the times I hallucinated
Here's the
your
time
face.
she literally in the movie they show the time where she jumped off the cliff.
Yeah. She has no filter. She's like, I'm just showing it all to you,
Just
buddy.
showing everything.
Boy.
And
Wow.
Edward's just like, wow.
He's like, he goes, can you do it
Wow.
again? And Bella goes, we have all the time in the world, or something really cheesy along
Yeah.
those
God.
lines.
I wonder where their child is.
They don't care
Never
about
parented.
Renesmee.
Yeah, they like literally the times they could have been with they're like having sex because they're like, oh, they like talk about how like when like they're like when Rosalie and Emmett were first together, it took them 10 years to stop having sex.
And Bella goes, I think it's gonna be worse for us. And Edward goes, yeah, definitely.
But
They have this baby that they think is gonna die in like
Yeah.
10 days or
So
whatever.
do not remember these details.
But it
Oh
was-
my God.
But then like they're like, oh shit, people are coming to kill the baby. We gotta
We gotta
gotta
put
do
this on pause.
put this on pause.
But they're back in
Hold
it.
That. Let's go to the bedroom.
Our baby will be fine. She's got Jacob,
Yeah.
who's like in love
They got
with
Jacob
her.
and Rosalie. We don't need
We
to
have
be
a
there.
kid now. Let's
Yeah.
go have
Mm.
sex.
Pretty sure this is also because of the Mormon perspective on sex.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's probably normal for her community.
So that
Or something.
So that's Twilight.
That's Twilight.
That's Twilight the series.
Woo, we
What do you
done
think,
it.
Fran? Does that make you want to go
I-
see all the movies?
No.
and, and read all the
Back-to-back.
books.
And read all the books.
I'm happy that I did not bother reading them.
I have to say, as a teen reading them, I was like, I remember being like, this is like not great. Like the things that people do to each other, I don't agree with. But like that
Yes.
was kind of like the only thing I thought. And now as an adult, I'm like, oh
What?
my
This is all
god.
problematic.
I
oh
think
my god.
for me, Breaking Dawn was the book where like I started reading this and I was like, actually, everything is bad.
Yeah,
Like this book has
everything-
woken me up to how
Yeah.
terrible everything
And
about this
I
series
feel
is.
like I remember at the time too, like even despite like the hysteria about it, everyone was like, he fell in love with the baby.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's best.
And in
to
the
be
book,
fair, though,
Stephanie Meyer really tries to make you think that it is not
It's
weird.
fine.
She mentions it all. They're like, it's not. It's fine. I'm gonna
It
be like an
is.
older brother.
she's gonna
Yeah.
be 7.
Until she's of age,
7.
and then I won't be an older brother.
Well, and then they're like, I'll be whatever she needs me to be. So if she's not into me, I won't do that.
Yeah.
But of course, she's gonna be into me because
Because I'll
I
be
am
spending my
grooming
entire
That's
to-
always
life
what
being
she-
around her
Yeah.
and trying to make her fall in love with me.
I'm grooming her, so she
AKA
will be.
grooming.
I'll
Yeah.
train her to
Problems.
all of the
Um,
relationships are like that. Like
They're so-
Rosalie sees a guy and is like, that reminds me of a baby. I want to fall in
Was
love with
this-
him. Carlisle marries the girl that he had known as a kid and was like, now I'm gonna fall in love with her.
You know, I don't know what.
Jasper and Alice is like fine,
this in-
except
Except for
that
he's a Confederate army.
Yeah. Alice is like, I saw in the future we're gonna be in love, and Jasper's like, okay.
He never shows
yeah.
any remorse for the Confederate Army piece of his
No, I
history,
mean,
either,
yeah.
which is why it was like Stephanie Meyer did not have to choose that. She could have said Union Army. She chose
Or
Confederate.
say not the Civil War. Honestly, could have picked something else entirely.
I know. You could have just not said
Avoid it
what side he
altogether.
was on and hope that people just
Yeah.
didn't think Confederate,
And
but no.
Look that
She
far.
made it
She could have just done a quick Google search and found something else.
Yeah, any other
Honestly.
war.
Ah,
The end.
good gracious.
The end. That's
Yeah.
Twilight.
That's Twilight. Yeah, everybody, take some time to think about what we've discussed.
Um,
I
for
frankly-
producing questions, do you have all of the credits that CJ normally reads? Or
No.
okay, then I
but-
will figure it out.
Yeah.
I know it's Galestorm, Kitsune, and Paggio. I got it.
Yeah, I mean, let's wrap it up. Let's be done with this.
Let's
We
be
gotta
done
done
with
with this.
Let's stop talking about this now. There's
We
too
can-
many things that are just awful.
Yeah.
We're sorry,
and-
everyone who had to listen to that. If you didn't
And thank
know.
you for joining
And
us.
thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening. I
Thanks
hope
for listening.
your eyes have been opened about Twilight. Go support. I know like the people of Forks, Washington have a whole tourism industry based around these movies now. But the Quileute tribe also, if you have spare funds, why don't you go donate to their they have a couple things. They have like a website for themselves. They also have like stuff at like the local museum nearby about them that's like specifically dedicated to be telling the truth of their history outside of Twilight. It says like Twilight versus Truth on their website. So
Oh my god.
just shows us some
Yeah,
support.
because they're running
if
into
you
like
can.
some environmental issues of
Yes.
rising that they
Yeah.
need funding for.
So, show some support if you can, if you've listened to this podcast.
Oh goodness.
Fran,
And Oh,
thank
you go.
thank our two friends we need to thank.
and with the disclaimer of this is a problematic story, and please support the people that are affected by it from Lizzie. We also
Yes.
want to thank Galestorm Kitsune for all of the great logo artwork and the artwork that you see on the screen on YouTube and how amazing it is. And we also want to thank Apagio for the banger intro and outro that we have for our podcast.
Yeah.
And
Thank
with
you.
that,
And thank
Siley, you can start off
everyone
the
who came
sign
to
off.
join us.
This was a
Sammy,
great
This
Valentine's
was
Day.
really good. I
Yeah.
had a fun time.
I always want to talk about
this was-
Twilight.
I was gonna say this was so feminist, everybody. Good job.
Woo,
Great
woo.
Oh, goodness.
job.
Nailed
All
it.
right, time to imprint on something.
Fran, start us off with the,
I guess
the
I'll
sign
start
off.
it.
So
Okay. Oh, goodness gracious. And through all of that, I've been Fran.
I've been Sammy.
I've been Liz,
And I've been Siley.
And with a lot of media from that time, when you look back on it, still very problematic.
don't date a vampire.
Do not.
Don't date a child.
Don't date
Or
a child.
Don't groom children, quite frankly.